And we are live. This is Steal the Airship, a finale. Today we have two players. We have Grandin, and let me make sure I get your name right. Grandin Gregson. Can you say hi, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
All right, and Kevin, we have your character, Guido, and Guido's last name is Giuseppe. Can you say hello?
Hello.
All right.
A lot of G's.
A lot of G's. We love the G's. Okay, so this week's milestone is to impress the girl. The final chapter in Steal the Airship. So last we left off, the night just kind of faded away as the group, the two of you were with Amelia and with Archie and the agent who was planning some sort of an elaborate halftime show or benefit, big time show for the Mintara Spectacular. So that kind of faded into the night as both of you kind of relaxed and enjoyed the presence of the agent, the upcoming events, knowing that you had kind of stuck it to Mercedes, the race car driver. Is there anything the two of you would like to do just starting off after that? It'd be the next day. I imagine it's we have one more day before the preliminaries, which you have tickets for. We can skip to that if you want to, but if there's anything you wanted to do in between.
No, I think I'm spending the day lining up more and more gigs for our happy dancers. Now
Nice.
Pseudo celebrity. I'm going to try to rake in as much money as I can, and give a little to him, but mostly.
Sure. Do you try to find him at all, or hang out with him at all, or are you just trying to find work for him?
Just trying to find work.
Okay. Why don't you, just for shits and giggles, what strategy would you use to try to basically find work for him?
Oh, jeez.
We'll give it a good old roll and see how you do.
Okay. So, am I imagine or reason then?
Which strategy are you going to use?
I don't know if I have one. I might have to use an unskilled roll.
All right. That is under a 3, sir. It would be imagine then if it's unskilled.
Okay. So I have 1 success.
All right. And do you have any tags you'd like to use?
I don't.
All right.
No, I don't really have one that'll fit, so we'll just say one
okay.
Success.
So with 1 success, you would find work, find people. Let's see. I like the idea. You find people, but they of course want to meet the talent, and meeting the talent proves itself to be very difficult. So, for whatever it's worth, you have people lined up. If you could just introduce the talent to them, and the talent seems to be missing, you wouldn't be surprised if the talent was perusing basically the stage, which might be just off limits for you right now. Maybe tomorrow you might be able to find him. Tomorrow, when you have preliminary passes, at least you'd be able to see him, and then if you could schmooze your way over, it wouldn't be too crazy because there'll be more people around. But today it'd be hard because you'd have to impersonate somebody or get a pass.
I could probably do, but I'm saving my energy for the big show. So.
Sure. And Mike, so for Grandin, is there anything Grandin would like to do? Now, I mean, you had a couple ladies last night. You saw Mercedes. You got real close to her. She got chased out of the club. It's a seashore thing, and otherwise, that she would be getting ready for basically the preliminary races, which basically just think kind of like NASCAR. Like people are going to hit the tracks sort of and test out the vehicles, and it helps kind of hedge bets for people as they start trying to pick their favorite horses in the race. Now, it's nothing like the actual spectacular, which actually goes outside. It's not like on a track, but this is almost sort of like the what do they call that? Like a
time trial.
Yeah, it's just for show. It's like they're just going around the track to just kind of like show who they are and their cars, their airships in this case. Glory laps kind of
so
things.
Grandin is spending his day uncrumpling and drying off the pile of letters that got trampled on and soiled, on the floor of the club the night before.
What a great word.
So he's meticulously, flattening them, and takes a hair dryer. He's drying them off, so they're presentable when he is finally faced with the opportunity to hand them over to Mercedes.
Okay. So where are you keeping these letters now?
Well, once they're dried off and all that good stuff, probably in his coveralls, just kind of tucked away.
Okay.
So like the gear on one side and the letters on the other.
Now, did you end up saying that overalls were fine, or is it some kind of more of a Dickies outfit, like a mechanic's outfit,
Yeah, it's totally like a coverall. It's a jumpsuit almost. Totally a Dickies getup.
Okay, so I can kind of imagine that. There's one day in between where you guys either sleep in or you kind of go about your business. In one hand, Guido is kind of walking around town, meeting other people, trying to find if local places have acts lined up for Beyond the Spectacular, things for Archie and his newfound, prodigy as a talent agent. And meanwhile, I said, sorry, all the G's. Grandin returns back to you. Now, do you have like a room? Are you staying is it at one of the hotels, or are you going back to the ship? I'm sure you actually probably are kind of like, you could do either. I don't know how cheap you want to be.
Yeah, no, I'd go back to the ship.
Okay. Yeah, because, as long as your ship's docked, which obviously is going to be docked through the Spectacular, you'd be able to go back to basically your quarters just like you had it. Though you'd probably avoid the captain, who was not very fond of you last he saw you. You also would know that the captain's missing a few things, and he's probably not very happy about it. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
But it does give us our place of where you were. You kind of retreat back to your room and begin heating the letters and cooling them and letting them dry and storing them back safely in your possessions. Okay, so the following day, the Spectacular can start very early. Now this is the preliminary day. There's usually two of these. We'll say there's 2 days, and it really could be like 3 or 4, but we'll say 2 before the big show. You're able to come anytime throughout, but they're going to start first thing basically at dawn. People will start getting in their vehicles and doing their laps with little showcases of different drivers. How early would either of you want to be there? It goes through almost the entire day, so it is a very long process.
Given the opportunity, Grandin's going to sleep in probably to 8. And then, Grandin's not one for showering. He'll probably just roll out of bed.
Good to know.
Pull his coveralls over his shoulders because he sleeps in them. He just pulls them kind of down a little bit. And really hunt down Giuseppe, because Giuseppe's in on this, whether he likes it or not.
Guido, where would you be? Now, are you staying?
Actually, I've got newfound wealth with my new act, and I'm not a kind of person that hangs on to money very well. So I'm staying at the most opulent, best hotel I can find, buying the penthouse suite. And and I'll get up whenever I wake up from having passed out the night previously. And I will make sure I have a bottle next to me for when I do wake up.
To make life easy, we can say that you do know the place that he basically retreated to last night. So you would know where to find him, Grandin.
Yeah, and I'm sure I would stick out like a sore thumb if it's an opulent penthouse. A couple days without a shower.
So basically, as you would head, the streets would be littered. The streets would be lined with those sort of ribbons or cables or wires that go between buildings with just little pennants that show different numbers. There's a lot of festivities in the streets of just colors and flags of people from all over the place that are coming to the city. There's basically parades that are being set up in the streets. Well, not happening today. So there's a lot of people that are just sort of touristy walking around, taking in the sights, enjoying the atmosphere. You would find that Guido's current residence is very, very wide and large. Like it takes up a plot, or maybe like the club the other day would be like a quarter of the ground area that it covers. So this is like 4 times as wide and as large. Kind of like going from like a typical grocery store to like a Walmart or something, like just the size difference. And you'd find this, it's very open on the base floor, but then it actually goes up 3 stories. And inside you would find people who were overdressed as to make it look opulent, even though everyone who's there visiting is in, shorts and Hawaiian t-shirts. Everyone's got a drink in their hand. There's a lot of breeze coming through. There's even sort of like pools of water where people are just like kind of lingering around, some of them in bathing suits and such. As you walk in, there would be a man who would walk towards you because you look completely out of place. And the man who obviously has, sort of just like nice hotel clothing, probably like much like a polo tucked into slacks with a belt on, would walk towards you. He's got visibly a name tag. It says Steve, and he walks up to you. Of course, he's not super big or super imposing, but he's walking very like militant towards you. You there, you sir, excuse me. Are you here to clean? You here to
I'm
fix
offended.
something?
Quite frankly, I'm offended, sir. I am here with Archie Les, the famed dancer. Certainly you've heard of him.
Do you have any strategies that would help you?
I've got arguing.
Nice. Okay. Why don't you roll? What do you think it is? Is that something that you've already used multiple times throughout the past 2 days? Playing on the fame of Archie? Because you would know Guido is probably selling Archie's name to everyone.
No, it's not something he's done too much.
All right. Let's go imagine you just whipped it up. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
well, obviously you know Archie more than less.
That's a terrible failure.
That's awesome.
Oh, no.
It's only awesome because, like, I swear, Kevin, every time Kevin plays, like, the first roll is always a terrible failure. Which is great, which is actually really great. It's great for when I run games.
Yeah,
But-
absolutely. Great for you.
Okay, so was it a perfect failure, like a perfect, or was it just a double
it's perfect.
fail? Okay, it's obscene. So first of all, Kevin, what do you think would be the worst thing that could happen to you, Grandin, right now?
Steve would throw him out on his ass. Rough him up a little bit.
Mike, what do you think would be the worst thing that happens to Grandin?
Getting thrown out on his ass would be bad, but being humiliated would be even worse.
I'm like, last time it was Archie, right? Like, is there a pattern for it?
But yeah, just being completely humiliated in front of all these richers.
Okay.
Pretty bad.
So obviously, I like what you're saying right there. You're not pulling any punches for yourself. So Steve walks up to you. He puts his hands on you immediately. As you already been like, who are you talking to? You can't say that. I'm here with Archie. So what do you do immediately when he puts his hands on you?
Well, this was one of the few times Betsy was not in hand.
Makes sense.
And,
okay.
And the hand goes directly to Betsy.
Sure. When it goes to Betsy, it knocks Betsy to the floor.
Oh, no.
As Steve pushes you backwards, and he kind of stumbles with you. Maybe tripping, maybe slipping, you don't quite know, because you just fall backwards into one of these pools of water. And you are surrounded by people, guests, who all jump back, and their drinks go up in the air, and there's this moment of, ooh, oh my God. And everyone backs off, and you just dunked under the water for a moment. As you come up, realizing that the letters in your pocket have been re-wet, that Betsy is on the floor somewhere a little further away. You are sopping wet and kind of awkwardly hanging in the middle of the pool, where, you know, like your butt is where the deep end it is and your legs are kind of on the ledge. So it's even hard to kind of scurry back up. And you're on top of people who, you know, are not happy that you're trying to push off them to get up, and they're trying to push you in to get up out for themselves. Of course, awkwardly, Steve doesn't fall in the water, but he falls. And the one thing you could see between the levels of water going, you know, up and below, over and below your eye level, is Steve getting up and looking very angry.
Bubbling as my mouth dips into the water. Betsy! Mercedes! Betsy! Mercedes! Betsy! Just imagine this, you know, brood of a man splashing, arms flailing in the water, and haplessly trying to get to the edge of the body of water he's in, and completely ignoring the irate man. Thing reaches into his coveralls and wrings out a stack of papers and throws them on the ground and starts laying them out, trying to get them flat, all while also scurrying over towards Betsy.
Okay, so as this is happening, Guido, you conveniently are walking downstairs. He found you all right, just not how he intended. As you're walking down the steps, you can have all the comforts that you might want here. You could be in a nice bathrobe with a monogram on it. You could have a drink in your hand. You could just be, you know, on your way to the hot tub. You could have a fresh meal in your hand if you were just coming from like the free breakfast, headed back to your room. How would you like to be?
I have just woken up. I'm in my clothes from the night before. I just came down to get another bottle because that's what I need right now. I do have Elle waiting for me back in my room. Elle from the ship.
Yes.
And as I started walking by, I see our friend Brandon making a fool of himself.
So when you look over, you just see commotion. And you see basically there's a man who obviously you've seen him before, just one of the security guards that's walking around. And he's got a hammer, which you notice obviously is Betsy. And he's holding it out. It's like, what is the meaning of this? You brought a hammer in here? And you see Grandin, who's sopping wet, like immediately out of the pool, surrounded by people who are pointing at him. And you can, for a moment, as the people break, you can see him just like moving little pieces of paper around, letters or something. And you can hear the rumblings from the crowd. He's a stalker. Those are all of a woman. That's Mercedes, the airship pilot. And you can, I mean, all of your instincts tell you to just keep walking and go upstairs. You have no idea what he's doing here, other than, you know, your slick persona knows that he must be coming to see you. And something must have gone horribly wrong.
I don't know if I want a piece of that at all. Yeah. Actually, I will walk up to Steve.
Steve has Betsy in his hand, holding it up. He's calling for other security. And yeah, you walk up. You see him. He's not paying attention to you immediately because he's like right in the middle of it.
Hey, Steve! And I pat him.
Yeah.
Hey, remember me, Guido. Hey, can you hold this for me? And I hold up the bottle.
Okay. All right. What strategy would you use to kind of slip that to him and take it?
Sleight of hand?
Yes. Is this something you've done 100 times, or is this something that you're just like, here you go, take this?
Yeah, it's seat of my pants. Here you go, take this.
Yes.
One success.
Okay.
And I would like to use my tag of Tricky Dick. Because I'm trying to trick him into holding this thing.
You are one tricky dick, sir.
And that's a success.
Okay.
2 successes.
With 2 successes, you get him. Which hand does he give you the object that he's holding? Or does he just take them and like kind of awkwardly hold 3 things?
I'm just kind of trying. Yeah, I'm trying to get him to awkwardly hold 3 things.
Okay, so he's got Betsy. He's got your bottle basically, and in his other hand, he's got some kind of a whistle that he was going to blow to basically get more security over here. And he's yelling for them, but obviously you just see like another person running this way. Running, I mean walking fast, you know. Now he's awkwardly holding 3 things. What were you trying to accomplish with that?
Well, now that he's all discombobulated,
Yes.
I'm going to kick him in the balls and grab Betsy.
Given that you did the sleight of hand and you've got a double success, we could just say that it moves right into that. You know, basically that you're able to get some people that are kind of blocking view as you give him the 3rd object and just rush a knee right up between his legs. Meanwhile, as he bends over, gasps for air, drops the bottle, probably drops Betsy because that was your intention. Yeah. And is juggling the whistle, which is the least important of the 3. So,
Did the bottle break?
the bottle did not break.
So I'm going to grab both Betsy and the bottle and just start like running away, holding both of them up. I've got Betsy. I've got Betsy.
The bottle hits the ground and just makes that awkward thunk as the people nearby all kind of go like this, you know, expecting it to shatter. Grandin, you see basically Guido appear, but you're a little too obsessed in your letters as you're putting them together and making sure that, you know, the ink didn't run. And you look to see Betsy, which probably then takes your attention, and you see it fall to the ground, and Guido grab it with the bottle and begin running away, taunting Steve.
But Betsy, come back! Betsy, don't leave me! And Grandin looks to the ground at his letters, looks back up at Betsy, looks down to the letters, looks at Betsy again, shakes his head and runs after Guido.
Okay. Do you leave the letters?
Yes.
Okay. Do you take any of them?
No.
Okay. So you rush off. Do you have any strategies that would help you get through the crowd? Because the crowd, while they're not intimidating, burly, or difficult, they do believe that you're a stalker, and that in general will unite them to try to hold you at bay for security to come. Because, you know, generally people don't like stalkers, especially crazy ones that smell bad, that have hammers and, you know, jump in the pool on top of 6 of them. So they're trying to do their due diligence of, yeah, what do they call that? Like public arrest or something?
Yeah,
Citizen's arrest, yes.
I feel like the only thing that's on Grandin's mind right now, as he sees Betsy running away, is hammering.
Okay. Obviously, it's imagine hammering because you don't have your hammer.
Yeah, so his fists are just flailing back and forth as he plows his way through.
Okay.
That is 2 successes.
Excellent. So, Guido, where are you heading? Are you going up the stairs?
No, I'm actually just going to get around a corner. So when the security guard comes around that corner, I'm going to hammer him.
Oh my gosh! All right. Yeah, and there are open walls, so you can easily get out of here from almost any place. All right. So the one guy's going to run towards you. By the time, I mean, while he's plowing through basically the crowd. So why don't you go and roll for that?
All right.
And meanwhile, Grandin. Yeah, that's a good question, Kevin. Yeah, what strategy would help you with that?
Actually, I want to use my hiding strategy because that's what I'm doing. I'm hiding around a corner to get rid of it.
That makes sense. Imagine hiding, trying to find the right place to hide, to be in the perfect spot to just hit him over the head or hit him in the balls. I
got a perfect failure.
Oh, nice. Okay, so first of all, Grandin, you're kind of flailing your arms. Do you find that you're hitting these people and they're breaking apart for you, or are you just kind of swinging and they're all kind of like hiding and cowering away from you because they don't actually want to fight you?
I think most of them are hoity-toity enough to see a threat and just kind of cower away.
Okay.
So they see fists flying at them and they back off.
You remember those people who used to do like one of these? Like I just couldn't imagine you awkwardly like flailing your arms and like moving your hand around and then being like this and just being as weird as possible. Okay, so as basically you kind of shoulder one person, knock a person over who was just already tipsy first thing in the morning, and then other people start backing away as you just look crazy and sopping wet, and obviously some madman stalker who wears overalls and carries pictures of Mercedes and carries a hammer. So you start running. You do overhear one person go, "That's the guy from the club." And as you basically start running towards Guido, now Guido has Steve right after him, and one other security guard who's chasing Steve, assuming that Steve's chasing something important. So Steve basically pops right into view. Of course, when you go to swing, what were you going for? His head or any location?
Just anything that came around. I was just going to.
Okay.
Swing it on the roll.
You basically go to swing. He happens to jump over the hammer, and when he does, he jumps on top of you. So he jumps over the hammer, kind of like in an old school wrestling move, like leaps into your chest and knocks you to the ground as he's mounted you, and he starts swinging on you. Now, he's obviously already mad and upset and outraged at what happened, and he's taking it out on you because you had a hammer and tried to hit him with it. Grandin, you're running up. Where are you headed? Are you headed after Guido? You don't see this because it's around the corner.
Yeah, I'm heading directly where Betsy was heading. Okay. Whether it was Guido or not, Grandin doesn't care.
Okay. As you're running up, you see Betsy hit the ground and just kind of slide out from basically straight ahead of you. You don't see anyone, but there's little commotion right around the corner. And just in your viewpoint, you just see the hammer just kind of slide out.
Diving.
Awesome.
Face first, diving.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love it. For no reason at all. You're like, my face crashes into the ground as I slide. Okay, so Kevin rolled a horrible, horrible failure. So what's the worst thing that could happen to him? Obviously, he's getting beat down. He lost the hammer. You're right there. There's one more security guard who's coming up. What's the worst thing that could happen to Guido right now?
I could lose my bottle.
Yeah, he could lose his bottle. Grandin could also mistake him for the person he wants to smash with the hammer when he inevitably gets it.
Okay, so Grandin, you have the hammer. Guido, you have the bottle. You are being pummeled right now by this guy on top of you. But since it was a horrible failure, we're going to keep on Grandin for a minute. Grandin, what do you want to do? You have Betsy in your hand. Do you want to try to swing on the guy in front of you? Or do you want to try to escape? What are you thinking?
Once Betsy is in hand, next order of business for Grandin is to take care of the guy who started all of this.
Steve.
So hammering Steve is top of the mind.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and make a hammering roll on Steve.
Two failures.
Okay. So clearly you and Guido can take damage. So we'll say that both of you take 2 points to your body. One, because obviously you had your perfect failure a minute ago, and it was convenient that you would get hit anyway, and he failed, so he can also get hurt. So, Grandin, you try to hit Steve. Of course, when you try to hit Steve, Steve gets pulled out of the way by another guard who's pulling him off of him because he's like, "You're beating down a client. He's in the penthouse, you idiot!" And as he removes Steve out of your way, Betsy comes down before you can stop it, basically hitting Guido. Guido, you get kind of hit like in the shoulder as you were like kind of like rolling because you were getting punched in the face and in the chest and wherever Steve could hit you until Steve moved and here came a hammer.
Ow, you motherfucker.
What
the hell are you doing?
Guido, so sorry.
When you hit him with the hammer trying to basically thwart yourself, you did trip over, hit the pillar that's next to him, and you're on top of him, taking damage yourself. So the two of you are on top of each other. There are two guards that you can see right next to you, and you can hear the footsteps of others.
I start screaming, rape, rape.
Okay. So more security at that point piles in. Both of you are basically pulled off of one another. Steve and the other men start taking both of you basically just up to the front desk where there's some kind of a supervisor that's coming up. Is there anything that either of you would be trying to do? As at this point, the gig is kind of up.
I'm trying to talk my way out of it. So, guys, what are you doing? I'm a guest here. I got the penthouse suite. Come on, come on, get off of me. What do you think you're doing? I was just protecting myself from your psychopath security guard. She's chasing after me. I had trying to hit him with a hammer. He's so crazy, that bastard. My associate over here was just coming to visit.
The both of you are both basically held in the air. You know, so you're lifted in the way that any motion you have is just moving you in the air, but you have no sort of leverage to do anything with it. As you're notably arguing, making a big scene, as if all the guests here weren't already watching. They all are now. And there's probably 30 guests that are in this sort of large hall that are all their eyeballs are directed in this direction. As you're brought towards the front desk and just off to the side of it, because there's still more people coming in, so they don't want to stop business. And there is a man who's tall, slender, aged, receding hairline, and he has like a nice sort of button-down shirt with a couple buttons undone. Seems kind of elaborate, and maybe a little bit of a debutante, if you want, like a socialite who obviously runs this establishment, or at least runs it currently. He walks up. What is the meaning of this? Who are these men? What did they do?
I'm a guest here. Can't tell your ruffians to unhand me.
Let him go. And they let you go. Steve pleads. They brought a hammer. That man, he has letters of Mercedes. He tried to attack me with the hammer. He doesn't belong here. He's no guest of ours. He spilled water all over guests.
You attacked me.
Sorry, Kevin, what did you say?
Are hammers against the law these days? Is that what's going on? Obviously, look how he's dressed. He's a handyman. He needs his hammer. He's just coming to visit me when he was assaulted by this psychopath.
Roll your strategy. Which one are you using for this?
Let's see. I guess it would be kind of a sleight of hand. That's what I'm imagining uses sleight.
Yeah, definitely.
One success.
Okay. Any tags that would help you?
Not Tricky Dick for sure.
Yeah.
And it's still just one success.
Okay. I don't know what you're doing, but you've caused too much of a scene. He looks to you, sir. You will need to check out immediately, and take this man with you if he's truly with you. I don't ever want to see either of them here again.
Can I at least go get my girlfriend?
Can I at least go get my girlfriend? We will have her and your things escorted out.
All right. But I'm staying somewhere else next time with all my money.
He says something, of course, that basically tells the front desk that, you will be charged, the penalty of, the punishment penalties of wrecking the room or whatever they call it, whatever their fee is for that. As both of you are basically escorted out by the men. Conveniently, Guido, you were not thrown to the street, but granted, you for sure are thrown to the street. Oh, like a foot. It's not like bad, but you do kind of like it's more on your front as your overalls get dirt on, the sandy dirt on you.
More dirt.
And given that, yeah, you were all wet, you probably, yeah, exactly. So you look almost like muddy.
Yeah.
The two of you find yourself sitting on the sandy road with all of the shows and decorations of the Mentara Spectacular, and a wall of security that's basically making sure that you do not try to re-enter the premises.
I opened my bottle. I was going to leave anyway.
One guy tries to reach for the bottle. That's not yours. That's ours. It's property of the hotel.
Don't make me have him hammer you again.
Grannon holds out his hammer, like as the arm reaches out, almost as like a barricade.
Yeah. Probably about 10 minutes goes by before most of whatever belongings you had upstairs are retrieved.
Not much, no.
Yeah.
What about my letters? Bring me my letters.
So yeah, that's a very good point. So as this is happening, Grandin, you can see occasionally, like one of these security guards is like picking up your letters and stacking them together and putting them in like some kind of a satchel or a pouch or something. It's big. It's like a sack. And, you're just kind of left watching as he's collecting these things. A couple of them he stops to look at, he puts them in the pouch. After a few minutes, though, you see him walk away after he's collected what you believe to be most of them. And you just see him walking away. Does that make you do anything or?
I would do my best to follow where he's going and find him.
Okay. So, Guido, Grandin starts walking. You don't quite know what's caught his eye. You wouldn't be too surprised if you found out. But as you're kind of dealing with this guy who's trying to grab your bottle and just kind of harassing you, he starts walking along the perimeter. And, of course, a couple guards are kind of like walking in line with him to make sure he doesn't get in. One of them looks to Grandin as they're walking. Just give us a reason. You step one more foot in here, and we could beat the hell out of you.
Don't mind me. Just on my way. Just want my letters.
Guido, do you follow or do you stay there?
I'm going to stay here. Okay. And then I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to entertain the security guards with a nice little card trick.
Okay.
I try to create a distraction. I feel like Grandin's got something planned, so I'm going to do my best to divert attention.
Okay. So, Grandin, you continue to basically follow on the perimeter, and you can see that the guy eventually starts heading to the stairwell to head upstairs. Does that cause any reaction from you?
So, I'm thinking, try and shake these guards off.
Okay.
And find a way into the stairwell. And stage a mugging of sorts.
Stage a mugging. All right. So we obviously need a challenge at this point. We clearly know that they know you're there and they don't want you inside, but they have things that belong to you. So the mind of this challenge, since they're onto you, I'm going to give it a 6. The body of it, I'm going to give that also 6 because there's quite a few of them. And the spirits, trying to convince them, yeah, they don't like you. I'm going to actually make that a 7 because they don't want to do you any favors. And 3 tags are that there are, I'm going to say guards, but I just mean that there's more than one. There's a handful. I'm going to put angry because, like we were saying, they don't like either of you. They would love the opportunity to find a reason to beat you up. And 3rd is what do you guys think? Should I go crazed because you're kind of obsessed because you really want those letters, or should I just go that they? Yeah, I think that's probably best. If I can't even think of how to word the other one, that must be the best one. Okay, so Grandin, you were saying that you are going to try to. I guess we should actually kick it back to Guido because Guido was talking about distraction, and that would definitely help you in this situation. So Guido, you're doing some card tricks. How would you try to get more of the security's attention?
I'm just waving on, hey, I got a card trick, bottle of liquor, money on the table, easy money for everybody.
Did you just say bottle
Shots
of
for
liquor?
everybody? Yeah.
Bottle of liquor? What strategy would help you do that?
Well, it's a card trick, so sleight of hand.
Okay.
For sure. I think actually this would be a reason roll. 1 success.
Okay, you're going to re-roll that because they don't care. They're pissed off, and they want nothing more than a chance to beat up your friend.
Now I have 2 successes.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so you don't need to re-roll anything else then. All right, with 2 successes, you are doing card trick. I imagine that's really, do you think that that's outsmarting them, or do you think that it's manipulating them? Because it really could be either.
I'm trying to outsmart them.
All right, we'll hit the mind. All right, so we hit the mind for 2. It goes to 4. We have guards. They're angry and they're obsessed. You could get rid of one of those tags, or you could add something different that might help you and your friend.
Let's add a tag to them of. Was it a tag for us or a tag to them?
It goes to the challenge, and then either of you could use it if it helps. Of course, I can hold it against you, obviously, if it makes sense. But
I want to add the tag distracted.
Distracted, okay. And I know that you mean the guards are distracted, or the mob is distracted. So, okay. Distracted has been added.
And I'm deliberately losing like these card tricks and hands to lose money with it. I'm trying to get them to be really engaged. Like, this is an easy mark.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, if they start making money, then people are going to be like, it's less of a gimmick when they start seeing dollar signs. Right. So, Grandin, what are you doing? You know, there's more of the people in the area are flocking towards the magic tricks. It's gathered more of the security guards. So, of course, the guy who was basically wandering off with that sack of letters, he stops when he gets to the stairwell and kind of just peers back over, giving you more time to get to him, to follow him. There's only one man now who is halfway to him. So the one man who's between the two of you, as the other guy is kind of distracted.
So Grandin's gonna engage with the guy that's between him and the letter man.
Okay. Him and the letter man.
And he's gonna pull out the gilded gear with the glitter gold.
Sure, yeah.
And flash it at him and say, "There's more of this where that came from with my friend, who's obviously not great at magic tricks."
Okay. What strategy would help you sort of sell this on him?
I'm going to call it arguing.
Okay. I don't think you have to roll imagine. I think that that's fair to be reason. It would be imagine if you wanted to. I mean, if you made it a little more hostile.
No, it's more just an argument to reason. Go do this. One success.
Okay.
And I'm gonna use my obsessed tag.
Sure. Before you do that, let me hold angry against you.
Okay.
So re-roll because the guy looks at you and he doesn't want to believe a word you're saying. Whatever you're selling, he doesn't want to buy it. He just really hopes you take one step over.
That is a failure.
Okay. Now you can use your tags if you like.
Okay, so I'm going to use... so to re-roll both, I would need 2 tags. I'm going to use Obsessed and Lovestruck.
All right. You want to use them one at a time, or can you put them together?
So there's, you know, this obsessed quality about me of, like, I need the letters, I need to get them to Mercedes, and just the thought of Mercedes kind of triggers that love-struck feeling. So he grabs the gear and tinkers it around a little bit. Shows him a $sign, basically. There's more dollars that way. So, 1 success.
Okay. And that was using both, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, 1 success. You were trying to manipulate him, so spirit goes down to 6. You take 1 point to spirit. And the guy looks over in that direction, looks back at you. What could you possibly want to come back in here for? What is your friend doing over there? This is all some kind of a scam. He just
want my
staring
paper.
at you. Yeah. Oh, you just want your paper. All right.
I just want my paper. I'm a simple man.
Guido, you have quite a bit of attention. You do see that sort of manager guy walking back towards you. He looks like he's just shaking his head and kind of looking to the ground. You have quite a good feeling that he's basically kind of walk up and break this up. But you do see that coming. You've lost sight of Grandin as you're surrounded by the crowd. You're still awkwardly standing just outside of the premises as everyone's kind of catering towards your corner. What would you like to do?
I see that he's coming. He's not here yet, though. I feel like I can buy a little more time. So I start up another quick game. Pick the ace, it's right here. Oh, and move all the cards around. All right, you, who's got a bet? And I want to try to get as many people crowded, and just trying to take as much money as I possibly can to basically create a barrier before the manager gets there.
Okay. Do you have any strategies that would help you sort of corral the people?
Not really.
Okay. You can continue using Imagine Sleight of Hand if you like.
Okay, I'll do that.
Imagine Sleight of Hand.
That's 1 success.
Okay. I don't have anything to hold against you, actually, so continue.
All right, so I will use a tag. I'm going to use my overconfident tag. I know I can pull this off.
All right.
But still just 1 success.
Okay. 1 success. You are, in this case, I do think you're outsmarting like you were doing before, because you're buying more time. They're already manipulating you. You're just buying more time. So that's down to a 3. And you take 1 point to your mind, as obviously this is wearing on you. You're like, how many freaking tricks can I pull off here? I don't know that many. Grandin, so the guy is now looking right at you. He is realizing that with all of the people who are distracted by the magic tricks, that there is practically no one looking at the two of you. And he takes 1 step out of the perimeter and gives you this sort of, shit-eating grin. And he basically shoves you backwards and starts trying to attack you, realizing that he could probably get away with it right now. And if he's lucky, maybe he could even throw you inside and then beat you up for it. So he's trying to attack you. So in your case, you're going to want to roll in response to that. And how would you want to respond to someone who's trying to physically attack
you? Betsy would be involved. For sure.
I feel like it's like a lightsaber. Like the guy pushes you and then he tries to come at you and he just slowly slips into the scene in front of you. You're like, not when I have this.
And I've had a lot of restraint.
Yeah.
A
lot of restraint.
These past few sessions. But this time Grandin says, it's hammer time. And whack.
I like that he's had a lot of restraint, and the last session ended with him chasing out a mob of people with a hammer. They were calling him some kind of hammer murderer. In Grandin's mind, though, he was like, that was legitimate, That was not overboard. So go ahead and roll, yeah. It's hammer time.
That is a perfect success. Okay.
Would you think that reason and hammering is what hammer time would be? Because I kind of think so.
Yeah, okay. It's definitely.
So perfect success. So first of all, Kevin, what is the best thing that could happen here? It's hammer time.
He just knocks him clean out with the hammer.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
I think the ideal situation here is that the one man barrier is just knocked cold, and the man with the letters sees this and just drops the letters that he's holding and runs away.
Okay, so with perfect success, you deal 4 points. Obviously, this was physical, so he takes 4 points body-wise, bringing that down to 2. You can get rid of a tag or add a tag if you like. There's guards, angry, obsessed, and distracted.
I'm gonna add one.
Okay, what would you like to add?
And I'm gonna add like intimidated.
Intimidated. Okay. In what context do you mean with intimidated? Who's intimidated, or why are they intimidated?
Anyone that saw the guy get knocked out with a hammer
Awesome.
is probably a little bit terrified.
It sounds like you need to tell me what that hammer strike looked like.
So it kind of going with my ruthless tag here. It's not a blow meant to just knock someone away. It was a hammer blow to the temple and just like snaps the guy's head like clear to the left and falls
with an awkward crack.
With an audible crack. Yes.
Yeah. That guy needs a chiropractic adjustment immediately.
And maybe some brain damage.
Okay. And a surgeon. Okay, so yeah, that guy awkwardly crunches as his head moves in a direction that his neck should no longer be aligned with his spine, even though it is. And he crashes to the ground, and his obviously the bludgeon damage leaves blood that's still coming. Even though you hit him in the temple, there's just blood that's kind of coming from the crack line. It's just kind of pouring slowly. And he's probably swelling up immediately. But anyway, not that you care about that. You crack him. The other man gasps. A couple people towards the back of the crowd turn around as they hear the awkward thud. And the man at the stairwell drops the sack and basically runs up the stairs. Meanwhile, Guido, you were surrounded by people. I keep trying to think of snazzy names for this guy, the supervisor. He comes up to you, and he finally gets his way through the crowd, and he's like, excuse me, pardon me. Get out of the way. This man does not belong here. He's not an act. He's not a part of the show. And he gets up to you, and he's right in front of you. You need to leave, sir. You do not belong here. You are not allowed on these premises.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just show the winner of this last trip, so I can pay the people their money if they win and collect if they don't. And I'm looking for Steve, the bodyguard Steve.
Okay, you can find Steve. Steve is not too far away. Basically like kind of stuck in the crowd as he's kind of pushing his way to make sure that his boss is not threatened.
So I'm like playing the crowd, and I got this card. All right, everybody's chosen this card as the ace of diamonds. I will owe everybody money if this is the ace of diamonds. If it's the ace of diamonds, I'm going to pay you all. And I walk straight up to Steve, and I show, is this the ace of diamonds? And I show it to him, and when I do,
okay, go ahead and roll. As he looks forward, he's like, for that moment, he sees it, and he's like, it is the ace of diamonds. He reaches for it quickly as he tries to snag it, knowing that if he gets his hands on this, you're out of here with no money.
I got one success.
Okay.
I would like to use the tag distracted if I could.
You can, but first, I'm going to use basically that now he is obsessed with getting the two of you out of here. Because you have made a fool of him and his establishment, and even the guest, as you were kicked out and you're still being too important. You're attracting all the cast. You're being the attraction.
Now I have a perfect failure.
Okay. Oh, that's great. That's great. So Steve snags the card. And before you can flip it out and switch it, he goes, now I have the ace of diamonds, and you can get the out of here. All the people start grabbing at you as they're trying to find your money. Where would you keep your money, and how much did you have?
Oh, I've spent it all. It's all in this penthouse and all the liquor, and it's all gone.
Okay. You find yourself, well, first of all, you're going to take 4 points of damage. This was mind. Can you take 4 mind?
I cannot.
Okay. So basically, they're all kind of grabbing at you. Some of them are actually unintendedly actually tearing at your clothes because the security is trying to drag you through them as they're trying to make sure that they get paid. Now, what they don't know is that you don't have any money. So they're just taking everything they can off of you as you're being dragged eventually kind of over the crowd of people. And then, of course, they have to keep you going away from the tourists who are still trying to grab at you. What about my money? He said he was going to pay us. He was going to pay all of us. And you're being taken down the street as the security is almost forced to either at least get you out of sight so that if they all want to trample the hell out of you, that they can't point back at the place, or that they're trying to get you away far enough that they can get rid of you, but everyone's coming with. Meanwhile, and of course, Steve's the one who's kind of has you at the very end, and he's holding the card up like the victory dance.
Steve.
Brandon, the crowd seems to be leaving. You heard him say something about a trick. It was becoming rote as they're just routine over here as you were like more interested in the letters. But then all of them start moving. Maybe you catch a glimpse. You probably are still one-track minded towards the letters, but maybe you see that they are pretty much forcibly grabbing and pulling him out.
If Grandin can see Giuseppe, if Guido's being manhandled, he's going to look at the letters sitting on the staircase, feel pretty confident they're going to be there when he gets back, and comes charging at the hooligans that have accosted his friend.
Okay. So what would you like to do to them?
I think instead of like really attacking them, gonna try and get their attention and distract them enough to let go of Guido just long enough for him to get away.
Okay. What strategy would you use to do that?
I'm gonna use arguing.
Okay.
So the argument is basically, well, it's not him you want, it's me. It's me. I'm the fool. Come get me.
Do you think it's imagined because you have to do it on the fly, or is this?
Yeah, I'm gonna call it imagined.
You probably don't throw yourself in the fire either, usually, so that probably makes it imagined.
Yeah. All right. Shooting for force perfect success.
Okay. Which is awesome because I was ready to throw obsessed at you, but I've been trumped by the dice. So perfect success. Obviously, we know that he gets, Guido gets taken down the streets. So what we know is that there'll be a little bit of time that it will take Grandin to persuade, intimidate, or manipulate the crowd, but he will eventually do that. So, Kevin, what do you think that looks like?
So this group of mob of people have me like up in the air. I'm like almost beaten and senseless, so I'm just like flailing around like that.
A handful of black shirts grabbing you at your shoulders and arms and head as they're trying to keep you away from them.
Yeah, so it's in some way kind of looks like crowd surfing, and another it just looks like this rag doll that's being and meanwhile they're all grabbing at the clothes, so I'm just like slowly like being stripped naked,
There are cards everywhere.
Yeah, cards everywhere. I still have my bottle though. It's the only thing I can.
Okay. So, Mike, what do you think is like what's a perfect success to you here? Because obviously it's even better than what you said.
Yeah, I think obviously they're gonna let Guido down. They're gonna turn their attention to Grandin. And oh gosh. They're gonna all see a guy lying in a bloody mess. And their attention goes to that.
Okay. Do you say any words that eventually helps them come to that conclusion? Is it like you were saying, like, it's me you want? You're not him, you want me. Is there something else that's said that kind of points that out or shows that? Or is it more that you just convince them because they're like, yeah, well, we definitely want this guy. He's all bloody and we have bloody clothes in our hands.
Basically, yeah, I started all this. I'm the fool. Leave that man alone.
So there's this awkward moment where Guido is basically dropped to the ground. Your shirt is all torn up. Most of your belongings, like you have like part of a shoe left on. Another shoe is gone with one guy who just drops it because he was flipping it upside down looking for money. And he just lets it hit the ground as they all kind of realize that you have like a black eye and you're all scuffed up and, you're a little beaten up and swollen at this point in pink and you're on the ground. And the security is standing over you and a couple of them are looking at you like, finally, he got what he deserved. But they're kind of washing their hands with you because they're like, all right, he's had enough. These aren't murderers. Like they don't plan on actually taking it any further than roughing you up. Except for maybe the guy who got hit with a hammer, but everyone else didn't see that. So, Grandin, you find this mob who kind of looks at Guido and looks back at you, and they start walking towards you, but you don't actually have anything they want. You just they start pointing at you and basically ridiculing you because to them, you are the stalker. You're the weird guy who splashed at people. You smell bad. You don't belong. But they don't have a lot to say to you because, these are all people touristy on vacation. They're not necessarily all socialites or, high class or something. So they say a couple things kind of under their breath as they start walking past you. And they're kind of dropping Guido's belongings as they walk by, realizing they were kind of in an awkwardly mad rage. And you basically, as they start passing you, you can hear them talk about getting a drink and returning back and getting in the hot tub and stuff's kind of going back to normal. But that leaves you with them as they pass you and all of the security guides basically looking at you as they're done with your friend, but they're not done with you. They start walking towards you and you still have your hammer out. And Steve looks at the guys and looks at you. I think 5 of us can take a guy with a hammer, especially that guy. You see all of this happening. You're surprised as the crowd walks by you, gives you a moment to really take in the situation and react if you need to. So how would you like to respond?
It's at this point that Grandin runs for the stairwell, like full tilt, just sprinting for the stairwell.
Okay. What strategy would help you run? Possibly, juking, dodging, and evading people.
I don't really have one.
Okay.
Call it untrained.
All right. Sounds like a mansion in untrained, which is a 3, so lower than a 3.
All right. That is 2 fails.
Okay. Any tags you'd like to use?
So I'm going to use antisocial as one of my tags because, you know, it's the one thing that Grandin is truly good at is not being around people. So that is still a fail.
Okay.
And obsessed, because just the drive to get that satchel with letters is making his muscles work double time. And that is still a fail.
Oh no. Okay. So that's a double, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you double fail. Yeah, so basically as you beeline for the stairs, as you get to the stairs, you realize that the satchel of letters is gone. And you don't see anyone. I imagine you probably run up the stairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You run up the stairs and you see a guy up there. He's holding. What would be something legitimate that he could hold, and thinking that some guy with a hammer was coming at him?
Fire extinguisher?
I was thinking that too. So I guess we're going to go with that. Yeah, so you run up the stairs and you are hosed with the fire extinguisher. Basically, you know, I mean, hammer that is basically what he says to you. As you get hosed with the fire extinguisher, since it's a double fail, you get a negative tag, and gosh, and you are muddy, dirty, soaked, covered in fire extinguisher.
Bum. Bum.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. Let's do that. Yeah, we're gonna call you a hobo for now, because basically everyone's gonna start treating you like a hobo.
More than they already do.
Yeah, more than they already do. So you want to make sure you put that, if it's a negative tag, on the right column of your tags. And which tag did it cover up?
Antisocial. Okay,
so antisocial is blocked until we get rid of hobo. All right, you take 2 points of damage. That was body because you were running and chasing. So can you take 2 more points of body?
Yeah, I'm at 1.
Okay, yeah, because I know you took a couple earlier. All right, you've been hosed down by this guy with the fire extinguisher. He's going to try to coup de grace you. You know, obviously you're like up the stairs. You were covered in white, coughing, probably trying to get out of your eyes. Unless you're swinging Betsy around. I don't know. Maybe that's what you would do. Blinded by the solution. Do you swing Betsy around, or do you kind of get the stuff out of your eyes? Or do you roll down the stairs?
It's a tough one. I do think that swinging Betsy is what would happen.
Okay, so you start swinging Betsy back and forth. Why don't you roll Imagine Hammering, because it's a very slim chance that you would hit him, but he is trying to push you, basically hit you with the fire extinguisher. You have all kinds of things that could happen. You could fall down the stairs, but you could hit him.
1 success.
Okay, and sorry. Like the other guy, basically, this point, I'm going to give him, he is now intimidating the intimidator. You are basically screwed at this moment. On the staircase, everyone's coming back. The security guards will be chasing you over here. So currently, you need him to let you go, but he has all the intimidation on you at the moment. For that moment, as you get enough glint out of the eye for a fire extinguisher to be coming towards your head.
And that is a fail.
Okay. Now you can use your tags if you like. And of course you have belief if you ever need to.
Yeah. You know, I think Ruthless is going to come in here.
Okay. Ruthless.
And just wildly flailing Betsy around.
Okay.
And that will succeed.
All right.
And
do you have another tag? Because if you have a success with a catch, it's going to be enough to knock you out.
I do have another one, and that is Smashy that comes along with,
nice.
with Betsy.
Come on, dice, don't fail me now.
It does. It fails me.
Okay. It smashed you, all right. Just both of you get
Just
smashed.
the wrong kind.
Okay. All right. So you would deal 1 point of damage to the challenge, putting it body at 1, and enough to knock you out. So, obviously, we get to epilogue some of this for a moment, which is, all right, you get hit in the head with the fire extinguisher, the butt end, of course, just with enough vision to see it as it hits you. And for a moment, Betsy gets stuck basically in the staircase, like the handrail. And for a moment, you're not falling backwards. And then it gets dislodged. And there's that moment of whoa, 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 whoa. And you go thump, 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 thump down the stairs where the security guards are all ready for you. But they move out of the way and they let you just bump, 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 bump. And you, for our audience to watch, the hammer kind of slips from your hand as you're just laying there unconscious, covered in white, dirty as hell, all muddy and mucked up. Okay, so sometime later, Guido, you wake up.
I'm going to step away for just a second, guys.
Go for it, yeah. Guido, as you're waking up, you can see that the person hovering above you looks kind of familiar. A young man. The more you stare at him, it's a little hard to make him out because one of your eyes is kind of swollen. Not fully shut, but enough that it's a little hard to make it out. You got that gook kind of between your swollen eye. And your other eye's open, but it's just kind of blurry. And the guy starts talking. His voice comes clearly through. And it's the young man that you and the others belittled in Salandon, near the boat, part of Mercedes' crew. And the man's like, how you like it now? Now who looks stupid? And
I think that's still you, buddy.
You, when you move your arms, you could tell that you have been put into the monkey outfit from Salandon.
Oh, nice.
That basically Archie was given to wear and then was forced upon this guy. You feel very hot and sweaty, obviously, as you're kind of realizing that you're in this outfit. Your ankles seem bound, while your hands are not. What damage have you taken so far?
I'm at 0 mind. I only have 1 body left.
Okay.
I have 5 spirits still.
What's your mind total?
Normally it's 4.
Okay, so your mind, we'll put at 3, and your body's at 2. Okay. We did not give you a negative tag when you got knocked out earlier. So, do you have any suggestions?
Let's see. How about what's the word I'm looking for? Incompetent.
Incompetent. Sure, let's go with it. That's fine. Okay. And make sure you put in the right column. What did it block?
Aloof.
Makes sense. Okay. So, you hear another man walk in. Has he started dancing yet? The other guy. No, he's not dancing, but he's gonna dance. He's gonna dance just like Archie, but he's gonna be in the monkey outfit because now he's the monkey. I'm not the monkey. He's the monkey. And you could hear a couple of people laughing.
I don't mind being a monkey. It's fine. Whatever. You're the idiots that are watching a monkey dance. I mean, like, whatever.
You do hear a loud sort of zipping sound. And as you hear more of these whooshing noises, you hear an accompanied noise of people's cheers and we'll just say cheers. other things that they do when they hoo and ha. As you can tell that while you can't fully make out where you're at, you can tell that you're close to the racetrack because obviously you can hear the airships flying by and the crowds reacting to them. There is some ratcheting and other noises that are kind of happening not too far away from you as you basically are coming more and more to. But it is kind of drowned out by the obnoxious laughing. And you're kind of being prodded by people that you can't fully tell. And the bigger guy's like, I want to see him dance. So, Brandon, you find yourself.
Let me step away for a second. I'll be right back.
Go for it. Brandon, you find yourself in for all that you can tell, in a dark area. It seems like you are just in complete darkness, but you should be able to move. You feel a little constrained, like as you kind of like, open your arms and legs and try to find where else you can move to. What was I going to say was the tags? Oh, what's your health at? What are your 3 health scores?
I've got... Well, I'm 0 with body.
Okay. Out of how many?
5.
Okay.
3 out of 3 on mind and 4 out of 3 on spirit.
3 out of 3 on mind. Okay. We'll put your body at 3.
Okay.
All right. So you find yourself in a dark place. Sorry, it's funny. As you are kind of feeling this area out, you can start hearing the outside noise. And you hear sort of this whooshing noise, and it sounds like people nearby, like crowds. And then you can kind of hear some ratcheting noises, which sound very familiar to you. Obviously, people working with hand tools, ratchets, wrenches, and such. This sort of like the clicking and grinding noises that you're familiar with. You, without any visuals and just kind of being out of it, aren't quite sure where you're at, but. What would you like to do?
Do I have enough room for my arms to kind of move around, or am I in a really confined space?
You do. You can move your arms. You just couldn't hold them outward sideways if you wanted. Yeah.
So I would pat myself down. 1, looking for the gear. 2, looking for Betsy.
You do not have the gear.
Do not have the gear.
Yes. You do have Betsy, though. Somehow, strangely, just kind of tucked into your pants. Like the side, on your side, it's just not in the loop. Like the handle's just kind of stuck in the side of your pants.
So I'd grab Betsy and feel around for my surroundings, see
Sure.
what I'm in.
You seem to be in some sort of like a rectangular space. It's not very big. It's a lot like a locker, but you're kind of on your hands and knees. So obviously it's not like vertical like a locker. It'd be like if you were in a locker that was on the ground sideways. It doesn't have any sort of like holes for you to visibly see out of. The area seems to be kind of rough and like sort of like metal and plastic. It doesn't seem necessarily to be dirty or like covered in sand or anything with texture.
So Grandin would be looking for any crack that he could slip the crowbar end of Betsy into to pry himself out.
Sure. What strategies do you have?
I'd call it hammering.
Oh no, what
Either that or-
strategies do you have?
Oh, I've got hammering, arguing, electroforming, and tinkering.
Okay. I would say let's make an imagine tinkering
Okay.
to see if you can locate something that seems to be, they would give you any sort of wiggle room.
1 success.
Okay. Any tags that can help you? You're in a dark place, feeling yourself around.
No.
Okay. So with 1 success, you basically feel more and more that you're in some kind of a container or a box or a crate, but not, obviously, like we said, it's like metal construction. It doesn't seem like it necessarily has like a lid on either end, but it does have some give sort of above you. Not much, but like, maybe an inch or so. It seems like you could probably, like to your right, somewhere around there should have basically a space. And then basically, because there's a catch, you're just taking time trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, Guido, you basically are hoisted up by your ankle restraints, and you can now visibly see all these people as your vision's like no longer blurred. Like I said, one of your eyes is kind of beat up, so you have a little less vision out of it, but otherwise you can see. And it does seem to be 4 of the people that you had seen with Mercedes at the Solandon site where the glitter gold gear was taken, or the glitter gold was taken for the gear. A couple of them are just the sort of like douchebag posers that were on the boat, and one of them was obviously the bigger guy who was in the water with her, and then obviously the monkey boy. The bigger guy, he's blonde haired, blue eyed. He looks like He-Man in a way. Like he looks really immaculate, like and well kept. He has like a perfect tan. Has no shirt on, but has like pants on or whatever, and look like decent pants and nice shoes. And he's showing off his shaved chest, well-oiled tan, and he's walking towards the wall and grabs a baseball bat. So if he won't dance, we're going to have to make him dance. The monkey boy looks over to you. I'd dance if I were you. If you don't dance, he's going to start making you dance.
How am I going to dance when my ankles are restrained?
What would you like to do?
I'd like to convince them to take off my ankle restraints so I could dance.
That's okay. What strategy would help you convince them?
Probably sleight of hand and imagine use of that one.
Do you have... How would you go about doing that? This time it seems like we need a little more explanation.
Sure. Well, I want to convince them that it's in their best interest to untie me. Because they want me to dance, and how can I dance if I'm restrained? So I keep motioning basically. I look at my feet. It's kind of hopping around. I can't really dance.
Yeah, so basically, go ahead and roll. And 2 of the guys are looking at you. One of them is like, I mean, I guess he's got a point. I mean, do we really want to see some guy just wiggle his arms upside down? I mean, if he starts doing that, the monkey head could slip over his face. And another guy is like, well, I mean, that's kind of funny. Well, yeah, funny if you waited more to drink. And they're kind of like arguing with each other about what would be funniest.
I got to change my dice. I have double 10s.
Okay. So, Grandin, what is the worst thing that could happen for Guido? There is the large European descended man who wants to make him dance if he doesn't dance. Guido obviously seems very much like he doesn't believe he can dance unless he has his legs untied.
I think for Guido, one of the hardest things for him would be to not get his way, because he just seems to always get his way. So he would be left to dance with his ankles bound, and the dance would fail horribly in some very humiliating way.
Guido, Kevin, what would you think would be the worst thing that could happen here?
Yeah, something similar like, no, we're going to keep you restrained upside down, start dancing, and I'll do like a left shark kind of thing. Which wouldn't be good enough. And then he'll start hitting me with the baseball.
Okay. So back to Grandin. Grandin, you hear notably some of the people start like a roar of laughter from a few different people who obviously are not far away. And one of the voices sounds a little familiar, but it's kind of muffled because of where you're at. Now who's the monkey? Now who's the monkey? And you now have found out that there's a little bit of room. Basically, what you don't necessarily know, but your character's kind of figuring out, is you're like in the trunk of like a small sort of, it'd be like the equivalent of a car, right? But it's a small airship, like sort of like an air bike. You have the hammer with you, and you could use it to kind of try to leverage your way out. If you were successful with wedging it out. I would think it's probably tinkering, trying to fit the hammer in there. But of course, if you want to hammer it, you could try to beat your way out of it. Notably, though, people will hear that.
Right. No, I think Grandin would go a little more finesse this time, and try and pry the way out.
So I believe it would be, it could be reason tinkering, because tinkering usually does take finesse. It's not something you can really kind of beat your way through. So you just kind of finding the air with a little give and gingerly taking your time. Now, the downside is that reason will take more time in this situation.
Okay. 1 success.
Okay. Any tags that could help you?
I
guess I should ask you first. What negative tags do you have right now?
I've got hobo.
Luckily, that's not going to hurt you in here. You're a hobo. Reroll.
I've got love struck.
Nah, that won't hurt
you. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, I think for a tag, I want to use, because I hear Guido struggling out there.
Yes.
I want to use "Give Me the Gold," which is the tag that I get from my relationship with Guido.
Okay. So you start making out. You can start telling that. Maybe you can hear him talking about, like, I can't dance if you don't untie my ankles. And he's having to uncharacteristically, like, sort of like yell and plead with them because he's got no leverage. They're not listening to him. They don't care. And he's like, having to raise his voice. And there's a little squeak in it,
Yeah, so that gives Grandin the little bit of extra motivation to really make this work.
Yeah.
And he does.
Kevin,
that is 2 successes.
I think Grandin has shown on several occasions now that he is willing to sacrifice something in your best interest. I don't quite know what to call that, though. Do you have anything you could think of what we should call that? It's not brotherly. It's not nurturing, because it's really you. I mean, it would be Archie too, but I don't. Yeah. Is he getting loyal? Is he making friends?
Yeah, actually the first word that hopped in my mind was kind of friendship.
Yeah. Let's. You like friendship for now, until we can better term that. Yeah. Okay. So, Grandin, you can add a tag to your left column. That's friendship, or have friends. I have friends.
For once in my life.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a friend.
Okay. How many tags do you have on your left column, by the way? You have 4?
No, 5.
Okay. All right, good. You can have 5. That's why I was making sure. All right.
Yep.
And so you hear a click, and the trunk opens. Now, it doesn't pop up, but, it's going to slowly start opening up. It's one of the modern trunks. The light is a bit blinding as it starts to kind of pour in, and you can tell that, luckily it's not midday. You've been out most of the day, if not a day. So it's actually getting closer to evening. So it's not super bright out. You just haven't seen light for a while. You realize that you are still covered in this white pasty stuff, and, your breath tastes horrible. You're parched. You're hungry. You smell, It's just all dawning on you as the light showers you, What would you like to do? You know that you either have to keep this trunk closed or do something quickly, properly.
So something has come over Grandin. Loyalty or a feeling of friendship or something. And maybe it was getting, knocked down the stairs that change something in his mind.
You said that, and I imagined you like slow motion, like thump, thump, thump. It's like the montage of the friendship one.
I thought it was because I saved Betsy for you.
Yeah.
And holds up Betsy, kisses the tip, peeks his head out of the trunk, sees where Guido is held, and he throws Betsy.
What are you trying to do with it?
With the intent of whatever mechanism that Guido is tied up with.
Yeah.
It is smacking that mechanism and breaking it so Guido can get down.
Okay. Speaking of Guido, so Guido, you have been forced to dance as best you can under serious threat of a baseball bat. You are being poked and prodded. You've probably been hit, not like, full swing or anything, but like been hit, like thwacked a few times, which hurts horribly, of course. But, like enough just to get you to dance because you were probably so adamant about not dancing. So you can go and take 1 point to your body. And you said you're kind of doing the left shark thing, right? Which is just kind of like this, right? I mean, like you can't do too much. You really wish you did a few more ab crunches because you have no mobility. You're just like, I just drink too much. All I can do is wave back and forth. And you can tell by how they're basically talking to you that, like, if you don't come up with something different soon, they're getting bored with your spinning around in a small semicircle and waving your hands back and forth. Grandin, do you want to roll for that toss? Or is that a belief spend?
This is going to be the zone.
Yes, the zone. Okay, so 1 second. Okay. I needed a character sheet for reference. There we go. All right. So you've told me what you did. Continue to tell me what you were doing. So how did Betsy fly through the air? Did Betsy spin through the air, or was it like a Thor-like throw and it just like went flying straight at this sort of like pulley mechanism that's got him lifted up in the air?
So it was end over end.
Okay.
Like a tomahawk, right?
Yeah.
And the two-prong crowbar side catches just perfectly the cable or the rope and just splits it. Freeing one of Guido's arms.
Okay. Well, he's only got his legs bound.
Oh, then frees one of his legs.
Yeah, he's kind of like hog-tied upside down, or what? Not hog-tied. He's just kind of hanging upside down in a monkey outfit. I don't know if you had caught it before, but yeah, so they put him back in the monkey outfit that you guys put the boy in and slain. Okay, so your poor friend is doing the best he can with one. You can tell an eye that's almost swollen shut, and a bruised face. Is trying to do the left shark upside down in a monkey outfit, with the suit sort of slipping over his face, and you launch Betsy. Betsy goes flying through the air, hits the pulley, and then sort of clips the line somehow miraculously with the forked end. And Guido, you fall to the ground. Guido, you had no idea that this was about to happen. What are your strategies?
Sleight of hand, hiding, and ocarina.
Okay, why don't you roll Imagine Hiding?
Okay. 1 success.
Okay. Any tags that could help you notice something that would just be kind of like crazy to notice?
In the shadows.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I'm used to.
This definitely wasn't a gimme. Like, oh, you see that the trunk barely opens and then Betsy comes flying. Especially like with you're kind of occupied. But the
Actually,
fact
that makes it got a perfect success.
Ooh, okay. So, you do notice all of that. You were doing your left shark. The large man's walking towards you as the other guys are like, he's just doing the same thing over and over again now. That's the same thing. Yeah, show him the bat. And as the guy starts walking towards you, you can basically see behind him, looking past him, that a trunk starts opening on some kind of fancy, small, sporty airship. And out of it, for a moment, you make eyes with Grandin. And Grandin kind of like leans out of it halfway to hang just so he can get any torque on his hammer. And you don't know what he's doing. You think he's going to slip out. And then he basically spins Betsy and throws it up, at an awkward angle as he's half hanging out of a trunk. And it just goes like bolas. And then it makes a dinging sound above you. But since you saw the whole thing, you were ready for this. I mean, I don't know how you ever could have imagined that this would happen, but you did. So how do you want to land?
I'm going to see them it's going to cut this rope. So I kind of crunch up. So when it hits the rope, I spin and land right on my feet.
Okay. So conveniently, as you basically do that, the big guy swings the bat towards you. Not super hard, but he just kind of like goes to swing it at you. And there's a little bit of like that second half of the swing. He hears the weird noise and he tries to do it faster. You crunch up above it and it's, swinging a whiff underneath you. And you land on your feet and Betsy conveniently flops into your hands.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, that is your turn. You're plenty occupied by doing nothing, but it worked out. So, Grandin, what do you want to do? You see, obviously, there's a guy next to him with a baseball bat. His feet are still awkwardly like stuck together. I mean, he could they're loose now, but I mean, he's got to get out of them or wrestle his feet out of them. There's 3 other guys who are staring at him. And they're all they're just shocked. They're like, they don't know what just happened, like instantaneously. And you see even Guido look shocked as he has his hands out like this, like, yes, sir, may I have another? And he's got Betsy just laying, sideways in his hands. The big guy has a baseball bat, though, and he had just missed.
Grandin yells out, "Use her well, buddy, use her well." And then clambers out of the trunk into the driver's side door of the sporty airship and attempts to get it started.
Okay. So it's worth mentioning, Guido, at this point that you are looking in that direction. And while you made eye contact with him, and you obviously have Betsy in your hands, you can realize at this point that he is covered in like a white film. As he comes out, like you recognize it's him, but I mean, he couldn't look worse for wear if he wanted to. And obviously he sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, he's the only all white painted individual anywhere. Awkwardly painted. It's like a white mud on him, Okay, so you turn around, you go to the vehicle. It's probably Imagine Tinkering. It could be Reason Tinkering because you do work on a big airship. We'll say Imagine just because you didn't have, you're just running over there like you didn't even know you were an airship. So
okay. 1 success.
Okay. Any tags that would help you?
Oh,
I'm sorry. You're still in the zone. So you just tell me you run over to the vehicle and you get inside, and then what do you want to do with the vehicle?
I want to the telltale check the visor for the keys.
Yes.
Put the visor down, the keys drop in my hands, slam it into the ignition, turn it on, and just gun it. And if you can fishtail an airship, that's what you do. And just gun it, heading straight for the mob of people that are threatening Guido.
So you basically get in, you kick it in a quarter turn, and when you do, you realize that this is more of a pit vehicle. It's obviously, while it's a small, like sort of like a 4-person airship, but 2 of those seats are kind of bucket seats that are more meant for cargo. They can just fold down. It's not slow because it's still small, but it's not super fast either. You turn around and go, oh, damn, of course I got one that's not a race car, and you kick it and turn it around, but it's still plenty threatening. It's like it'd be like the Jeep, not the golf cart of airships. Okay. So you're doing that. Guido, you see him basically flop out of the trunk, crawl. You lose track of him for a second as you catch Betsy, and then you hear the engine starting of the weird sort of like small truck-looking airship thing that he's next to, and it begins moving and then turning. What are you doing in the meantime?
I see all this kind of developing, and I'm thinking he's coming this way. So I take Betsy, and I put her above my head, and I'm threatening the guy with the baseball. I'm kind of hopping. I'm trying to create like a standoff. I'm trying to position myself out of the way of the vehicle and trying to get him in line with the vehicle. So
okay,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it sure does. What strategy would you use to get him in the way without him knowing it?
I think this is kind of an imaginary use of hiding, because I want to hide the fact that thing's coming, and also want to hide him from being able to see it. So
yeah, I didn't you used the right words there, which I was like, well, I guess if you're hiding, like where to stand or something, and you were like, I want to know like where to place him, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So there you go. Perfect success again.
Oh, wow. At least the times are changing.
It was a hard go, but hard times.
Which is good too, because I was debating. I'm like, this maybe should be a challenge. I was borderline. I'm like, we'll do another roll and see if this feels it out, and that definitely says that it's not. So you you start. Can you tell me how you do this? Because I can picture it pretty funny. Like you're talking to him as you're moving.
Yeah, of course I am. Yeah, because that's what we does. Oh, you big man with a baseball bat. Now I got a hammer. How are you? And I'm just kind of hopping. I can't walk. I'm just hopping like to the side. I'm trying to return his body. And like, oh, there's a big man with a baseball bat. Oh, I got a hammer now. It's hammering time.
So. Yeah, he at first he just starts laughing because he thinks it's ridiculous. But then when he realizes that his friends are not laughing at you, they're laughing at him, he starts getting red in the face. And luckily your foot restraints are getting a little more wiggle room. Like you have like you could fit your fist between your ankles right now, but you still have to hop. And he basically, he's not trying to kill you, but he's trying to like hit you over the head with the baseball bat. It's harder than before. Like he actually wants to like knock you out or knock you over, but he's not that frustrated yet. And you hear the younger man who was in the monkey outfit before. Oh, wait till Mercedes hears about this. You could even hit a restrained man in a monkey outfit. Grandin, you basically are starting to plow this way. 2 of the poser kids, start to catch on as they're laughing, and one of them shuts up as he turns and sees that the vehicle's coming at them. The second poser kid obviously is just too far gone, pointing and laughing. That's right in your way. And of course, the our dastardly kid with the knife, he backs up. So the 2 of them back up, but the 2 of them are right in your way. Do you just hammer through them? Or what do you do?
It's not Grandin's intention to just like plow over them.
Thump, thump, thump.
Basically, what Grandin wants to do is maneuver in just a way to where he can once again kind of flip a J turn and whip the back end around and knock them out of the way.
Okay.
While positioning the passenger door just so that Guido is able to jump in. So, flip the J turn, knock him out of the way, and throw the door open.
All right. Guido, so You see this in front of you as like, basically air and dirt and dust gets kicked up. All of this noise is still conveniently sort of drowned out by the larger crowd that is not too far away. As you've realized by this point that you're kind of off in one of the pit areas. And his vehicle basically turns, the door swings open, and you find yourself a moment to jump in if you'd like to.
And I do.
You're
Jump in.
Good friend.
I place Betsy in his lap, and I look at him.
Huh.
I'm starting to understand this love affair with the hammer that you got.
Granted, you don't have the gear, and obviously, as soon as you get your friend, you have this vehicle, you find yourself troubled with the immediate thought that Mercedes isn't here and you don't have the gear. What does that make you do? Do you feel like you run off? But your obsession, even being love struck maybe with Mercedes, is also maybe love struck with the fact that you have this gear.
Right.
The idea of separating yourself from the scene here is the idea of maybe never seeing her, and you don't even have those letters anymore, and not even having your gear anymore.
Yeah, so I think Grandin is going to roll down his window and kind of get out redneck style and shout at the gang of hooligans. Give me my gear and I'll let you go.
One of the guys looks over to you. He's like, "You ran over Andy."
He was asking for it. Give me the gear or you're next.
The larger man is, getting up, and he just, red in the face and angry. Conveniently has a large red mark on his back where, he basically got hit, knocked over with the back of the vehicle. It did launch the bat from his hands as well. He had sunglasses on that also fell. And, as he's getting up, he grabs them, and they're, part of one of the glasses is cracked. Guido, you see that Grandin basically turns around, steps out of the vehicle, and starts yelling at them.
You crazy bastard.
What does that
I'm
make?
going to get in the driver's seat. I'm going to turn that cheap airship around and just start revving the engine.
Okay. Guido, you basically, as you get in the driver's seat, you slip over basically what looks like a notebook. Not notebook. What's over a piece of paper that's kind of crumpled up in the middle of the seat. When you basically get over to the seat, you're there. You do notice the base of this piece of paper falls to the floor by your feet. And what do you do? Just revving the engine?
I'm revving the engine. Well, I got nothing else to do. I might as well read whatever this thing is.
Okay, all right. I was throwing that in there, but I'm like, he's not going to just read it right now, but I guess he is. All right. Grandin, you were out there. Do you have Betsy in hand?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yes. So they're obviously thrown back. Like, the one guy's like, "You ran over Andy." The bigger guy is unhappy, puts on his broken glasses and looking at you menacingly. The other kid pulls out his knife that you conveniently saw before when he was the crazed kid on the beach. And he points it at you. "Man, Mercedes is going to be real mad when she finds out what you did."
She's going to be impressed. When a guy like me beats a crew like you, guarantee it. She,
he's like, "You think you can beat us up? He's got a bat, I got a knife, and you got a wrench.
And an airship."
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
What do you do? Either of you?
I'm reading whatever this note.
Okay.
I'm keeping an eye out, though.
I was
And
giving you. I was
I'm-
giving that
I'm-
second. There's no immediate action, so you actually glance over the letter. The letter talks about how Guido's girl is with Mercedes, and if they want the gear, they can have the gear or they can have the girl, but they're not getting both.
No.
Obviously written by someone with very nice handwriting.
I don't know if I want to share this with Brandon because then I'll never get my girl.
Yeah. And of course, towards the back of it, there's more like, this will teach them. You're probably trying to make sense of it all anyway. But Brandon, what are you doing?
Staying pretty close to the airship, but putting on a front of just like, you guys, where's the gear? Where's the gear? You want out of here, you tell me where it is.
Realizing that there's a bit of a standoff, the younger man looks at you and goes, all right, you want the gear, you can have the gear, but you're going to have to get it from Mercedes.
Gladly.
If you want it, you know which car is hers. One of the other poser kids looks at you. Yeah, we know about you in the love letters. You know all about her car, the 450. Why don't you go find it? She's got a little present for you.
knows about my letters now.
Why don't you go find it? She's got a present for you anyway.
Got some tickets?
What
you don't think they're gonna let me in there, do you?
Guido, what are you doing now? So you kind of see that there's a bit of a standoff, and while the three guys down there have weapons, there's a good 30 feet between you and them, and you're both shouting at each other under the crowd's roars.
At this point, I'm going over the letter. I kind of dumbfounded, just didn't register at first, and then nothing really affects Guido, nothing really bothers Guido, but something just kind of clicks, and he starts to realize that he really does have feelings for Elle, and she really does matter to him, and they're threatening to kill her, and he just snaps. He just snaps, and at that point, I'm looking at the guy with the knife, and I just get that thing as fast as I can go with the full intention of killing him.
Jesus. Okay, so your awkward conversation, it out of nowhere, like just with nothing having changed, you just hear the vehicle rev up, and the wheels spin, and the smoke kick, and then it just kind of like almost fishtails a little bit as it tries to pick up steam, going straight at the three guys ahead. The one guy gets out of the way, pushing Andy back in the way. Oh no, Andy! But he pushes him in the way. The bigger guy this time moves out of the way, and conveniently, the sort of row of all of them leaves the kid with the knife sort of standing there with like the doe and headlights look. Brandon, is there anything you wanted to do?
As the airship starts to leave, and like kind of half in, half out of the airship, he's gonna try and grab on.
Okay.
And not be left behind.
Okay, great. Guido, I need a roll if you can hit this guy or not. So what strategy would help you drive an airship?
Sleight of hand is all I got.
Okay. We could do imagine sleight of hand because, if you have steady hands, assuming that you've probably driven something before. And assuming that they're not
one success,
not hard like cars or something. Okay, one success. Do you have any tags that would help you?
Overconfident.
Before you do that, do you have any tags that would hurt you? What are your negative tags?
Overconfident is actually one of them. Incompetent is the other.
Okay.
I'm going to spend the time. Change any role into a critical success.
Okay, there you go. I was going to make you incompetent, but all right. You beat me to it. Okay, so you, like I said, the line of them moves out of the way, and he's a doe in headlights. So you're spending. What happens?
So
don't forget you're still in a monkey suit.
I am. I'm still in a monkey. I'm owning the monkey suit now. I'm like the crazed monkey, like an enraged monkey now. He's in my sights. Everybody else kinds of, in a perfect storm, gets out of the way and just leaves this guy right in the middle. And he's the one I know the most of this little troop. So he's like the personification of what I read in this letter. He's the one I want to get. And I pedal the metal. He's standing there with his knife over like Jason Voorhees style, and then he realizes I'm coming right at him. His eyes get real big, and then boom. And then I kind of slam on the brakes. I hit him full force, but then I slam on the brakes, so he just goes flying after.
Okay, so he gets launched, hitting a wall, probably 30 feet back. Is he basically, like, when you hit him, he goes flying and then kind of tumbles in a roll until he hits a wall and then awkwardly stops with a thud. Obviously unconscious, obviously bleeding. The knife nowhere to be seen as it got launched somewhere. The two guys, Andy and the other guy who keeps whining about Andy, both look in that direction and their jaws just hit the floor. The bigger guy at this point picks up his sunglasses and now they're half broken, puts them back on and looks at you. What did you do to him?
I look out the window and I hold out the letter. You will give me back L right now, or I'm running all of you over. And my friend here is going to bash your brains in with his little buddy Betsy.
Okay.
And at this point, I give the letter to Grandin too.
All right. So they quiet up, are awkwardly off put. Grandin, you get the letter. It's a crumpled up note written in a handwriting that you know ever so well. That's obviously Mercedes' handwriting. It even smells of her. And it says basically in writing something of the sort that says, they can have one or the other, the gear or the girl. But either way, they're going to have to come and get it. And it says something about the dirty one knows where I'll be.
Well, Grandin turns to Guido and says, we find your girl, we find my gear.
Shouldn't we run these people over first?
I'm not against it.
That's right. You're looking at him as the voice of reason. Is not.
I'm not against it.
But at this point, time is of the essence. That gear is going to get raped in Mercedes race car. I just know it. And I'm not sure the fate of your girl is much better.
Okay. All right, so we have two options. One is we can try to hightail it to the finale, or two is we could try to do this, finish this up next Monday. What would be better for the two of you?
I'm good to go if you guys are.
Yeah, I mean, I can finish up tonight. I can go next Monday. Either one.
Kevin, what are your thoughts? All right. Okay.
Finish it up there.
So, that scene ends. What happens to the goons?
You're in the driver's seat.
I figure we sufficiently terrorized them.
We sufficiently terrorized them.
I find some ankle restraints and hang them upside down. I put one of them in the monkey suit and steal whoever's like the same size as me. I'll steal their clothes, which I'm guessing is kind of like a pit crew kind of clothing, or
yeah. The only one who was odd was the bigger guy because he didn't have a shirt on.
So maybe Brandon, you can grab the clothes from the other guy. We can, we got the pit vehicle, we got pit uniforms.
You telling me I can clean up a little bit? That would be nice. You know me, I'm not much fun for being clean, but this is something else.
Everything's coming up Grandin today.
Okay. You can change clothes. Yeah, Grandin, you need a lot of work to clean up. If you wanted to actually clean up enough to possibly like pass to someone else, you would have to like go scrub yourself. So do you just put on the clothes on top of your whiteness, or like I guess the good news is if you take off your clothes, that's most of the white problem.
In Grandin's mind, that's enough.
There's got to be some kind of grease cleaner around somewhere that would help you get at least some of it off your hands.
Yeah, I mean, get his coveralls off, get some new things on, and scrub his face with the Miracle Orange, whatever they have.
Yeah.
And
I'll be right back.
Go for it.
But yeah, not going to put too much energy into cleaning himself up because he has no standards, really.
Okay.
Well, I guess if he's going to take off, I'm going to step away one last time.
Go for it. Do.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Okay, so while he's away for a moment, you have the vehicle. You know that she's probably around here somewhere. Grandin's going to know what vehicle she's going to be using or showing off. How would you go about trying to find her or find the vehicle?
Well, actually, I'm kind of leaving it up to Grandin. I'm under the assumption that him being such a big fan, he knows how this whole thing works. So,
yeah.
Their starting positions, their pull, however all that stuff works. It's really, that's his domain. So I'm just kind of Guidoing it, meaning.
Nice.
I'm
gonna sit back and let it unfold.
Yeah, but I actually have a purpose. Guido actually finally has a purpose in life. He's going to find his girl and treat her right from now on.
That's really awesome with the black curtain. I didn't realize you tried to put it up. Yeah. Okay, Grandin. It's been left up to you. How would you go about trying to find Mercedes? You know what her car is. You know what she looks like. I mean, obviously, you could wait for the race for her, but why? I mean, well, the only problem right now is obviously there's a little bit of she could be a little bit too much of a center of attention, but who cares? I don't know.
Yeah, Grandin would really know exactly where the Erari pit crew is.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
He thinks that if she's not there, she's pretty close to there. Maybe getting ready for the race.
Okay.
So he'd be heading directly to where the Irari pit crew is.
Okay. So basically with directions from Grandin, Guido, you are led basically outside of this little pit area you're in, over towards the track where you're actually like going kind of like off the track, but like on the side. As soon as you get onto the track area, you can see that there are vehicles that are just whizzing by you. You probably, Guido, you're probably the one who's first weirded out by being that close to the track and kind of like on the greens just off to the side. But granted, you would know that that's not absolutely strange, because like this is obviously where, you know, if there's maintenance vehicles or if anything else, they would have to just drive on these like side routes that go around the track. The track's a little raised compared to you, so you're just in a bit of a gutter, but I mean you could basically drive up there if you had to. But now you hear the loud roars of people. It's all open. Think of it again, like in this case, it's a lot like a NASCAR thing today, where there's this big sort of round racetrack, and there's people that are in like bleachers and stadiums, sort of seating all around with their fancy passes. There's box seating for, you know, guests of honor, people who are obviously selling like peanuts and candies. And everything is drowned out by the speed and the movement of the cars, except for there are announcers that are announcing things loudly over the intercoms. So there's a bit of, you know, basically people being introduced occasionally, but right now they're just talking about laps. Okay. You do find that in your vehicle, there are headphone, like a sort of headsets you could put on that would help you hear like other chatter that might be pertinent to you, but it also helps drown out the sound. It gets really loud.
Yeah, Grandin would definitely put this on.
Okay. Grandin, do you have any strategies that would help you locate the area that you want to try to find?
No. Okay.
Given that you're such a fan, we're just going to give it to you. The two of you basically, not perusing, but just sort of gallivanting around the track, would find eventually, you know, passing up a couple areas that just look like uninhabited or largely uninhabited. You would continue to find something that's kind of off to the side of where the races start. And there's a gathering of airships that are basically sort of in queue with drivers outside. As you approach, Grandin, you see one of the more famous pilots. His name is Von Wander. And you see he looks sort of tall and slender. He's got a thin mustache. Otherwise, he's kind of dashing looking, but he is in his sort of jumpsuit with his famous vehicle that looks very, very thin and sort of pointed. It looks almost like a lightning bolt, honestly, for an airship. And you see not far behind him, he is pointing and bickering with someone who obviously is Mercedes Rogers, who is basically in the second position behind him, as they are lined up in some kind of position due to like race order. And you also see another probably 19 other airships that are basically being lined up. And you do, as you're basically slowly coming closer, see another person who comes off the track and gets into position. So the people that are on track are all sort of kind of coming in here and lining up. So they're all kind of parking in order. You know this is to be some kind of a formal ending of the day, where at each day, basically with their eliminations and qualifications and different shows, that they get different placement. And for most of what's happened today, I mean, they're probably all sort of exhausted. They've had a long day at this point. And what comes next is sort of a ceremonious lap. But as you approach, Guido, you see Mercedes standing, basically standing in her sort of cockpit of her driver's seat of her sort of sports car airship. Hers is more like what looks like a jet plane, if you would, in more in the way that it's still kind of triangular and it kind of opens to the sides. It's more kind of like an F-Zero vehicle, if you want to put it that way. And she's kind of standing with the sort of like the glass area that kind of like hovers like the front of like a speedboat. She's standing above that with a helmet under her left arm, with her hair just kind of flowing out. And she'd be beautiful if she just wasn't pissed off all the time. She's just angrily yelling at the first driver. When you see her, though, you get a red flare, a hot flash, as you see the woman that's at least it sounds like, took Elle, kidnapped Elle.
So this is where I get my little Jeep and I floor it because I'm going to ram her airship.
Brandon, he starts picking up speed as you were probably admiring Mercedes.
There's more of a coveting of the vehicle. Grandin has a bit of contempt for the woman now, after all she's put him through.
Yeah.
And as the vehicle accelerates, whoa, 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 whoa! Precious machinery.
Guido, what strategy would help you? We said sleight of hand probably before. God, would it be hiding? Sleight of hand? No, we're going to say steady hands, right? So sleight of hand, imagine.
Okay. Two successes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to have you re-roll that you are being incompetent at the moment. Your anger has allowed you not to notice that their track is divided by basically these pieces that stick out of the ground to not allow them to proceed, but will also block your airship as you try to fly over them. That would tear on the underbelly of your airship.
Right.
So go and re-roll, or
one success.
Realize and fly over them. Do you have any more tags you can use?
Not really, honestly, not really.
Okay, so one success, you fly the airship over. You notice at the last minute of the grill it is, and kind of are able to pull the wheel basically to get the airship to do a bit of a wheelie so you don't totally destroy the underbelly. It sort of gives your airship a bit of a jump. Von Wander in front turns to see as your little freight airship basically comes towards them and doesn't stop, and then gets this little leap of air. He falls in his seat quickly, hits some kind of a lever and a clutch, and it sort of kicks the back end of his vehicle to the side as your vehicle starts coming crashing down towards them. Grandin, you were forced to basically hold the sides of your seats or the oh shit handle, unless you want to do something else.
No, he's holding the oh shit bars. Yeah.
Mercedes is standing there watching as your freight vehicle comes down and sort of crashes in the space that Vaughn moved out of. And when it crashes down, it obviously hits more of its front end, and it just smoke goes up in the air. And she's looking at both of you as you're both kind of like behind the windshield staring at her, and she just starts laughing. As
Brandon,
your vehicle is obviously defunct at the moment.
Brandon is going to take Betsy and smash the windshield of his current vehicle and start climbing out and say, "The girl in the gear, Mercedes, the girl in the gear."
She has a megaphone by the time you've started to sort of break out the plexiglass that is the front windshield. And with the megaphone, she starts yelling out loud, "I think we have a couple people who are trying to stop the races. Do you want to see the races stopped?" And you just hear the roar of what must be like 10,000 people be like, "No." You start hearing little sirens of obviously vehicles that are, some kind of police or security vehicles that are starting to go this way. She's trying to sort of amp the crowd against you, which just, probably gets you obviously thrown behind bars or thrown out. Definitely thrown out, and lots of trouble for this. You can, at this point, Grandin, you probably notice it more than Guido. Guido's pretty slick. You can see them on the big screens that basically they're like zoomed in on the two of you climbing out of this defunct airship. She almost snippetly reaches down, and you catch a glimpse of the gold gear that she holds, kind of just behind the dash, and largely you may not be keen on it, but she's doing it. She's trying to incite you.
At this point, I recognize what's going on.
Yeah. Quickly though, Grandin, do you have any strategies that would help you keep your composure?
It'd be a stretch, but arguing would be the closest.
Let's go for it. Imagine arguing. Let's do reason arguing, because it's like all those years of arguing helps you keep your cool. Right? Don't give too much away.
2 fails.
All right. Any tags that would help you? And mind you, you used the zone earlier, but that only costs 2 belief, so.
Yeah, well, I'm at 7, so, I think obsessed. He's obsessed with the gear at this point, and he doesn't really care about anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't think he does.
But it is still a failure.
Okay. Was it 2 failures?
Yeah. Although I think I can use Love Struck. So while he's obsessed with the gear, he's also strangely in love with the gear. And nope, we're still at 2 fails.
The 2 loves of your life standing together in unison. Just taunting you, teasing you. Come get it. Sorry. So yeah, as you can imagine, Guido, you were about to do something, and Grandin is of no use right now. He is obsessed. He is like zombie-like moving towards the woman in the glimpse of the golden gear as sirens are going off. He doesn't even have Betsy raised. He just kind of like lumbering towards her, like googly-eyed.
Grandin! We can't get her like this. We can't get her here like this. Think of Betsy. Think of Betsy. We're going to take her away from you if they can't. Yeah.
Oh, geez. You have hiding. You have
sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand. What was the third one?
Ocarina.
Ocarina. Awesome. Man, I really feel like, why don't you roll Imagine Ocarina as you try to basically get him, you try to soothe the savage beast here. You try to get him to come to his senses.
1 success.
Okay. Any tags that would help you?
I think Tricky Dick would help. I'm trying to get him to think about something else. I'm trying to trick him into getting out of his obsessive ways. Yes,
Tricky Dick. Oh, good job. Okay, so Grandin, as you like lumbering towards her, you were like at the tip, the front of her vehicle. The sirens are getting closer. The camera is zoomed in on you. There are some people that are starting a secondary chant that sounds like stalker, and you hear him say, "They're gonna take Betsy away from you." And it's just that you hear that, and it just kind of clicks with you. Like, not Betsy.
Yeah. So he kind of comes to, and Grandin realizes he has this note that Mercedes has written. Pulls it out of his pocket and holds it up and points to it and says, "You stole my gear. You stole his girl. You're a terrible person. Why would I like you? Why would anyone like you?" And Grandin's making a big scene of this, hoping beyond hope that the cameras
Grandstanding on the cameras, yeah.
have zoomed in on this note that shows that Mercedes is this horrible person that steals things and people.
Okay, well that obviously is a challenge. Okay.
Yeah, because as he's doing that, I'm using all my like prestidigitation tricks and like sleight of hand tricks. And like, look at this, no, look at that, look, see how he's holding it. Everything I can to get everyone's attention on what he's holding. Doing backflips.
So the mind of this challenge is probably let's say a 7, because there's a lot of people to try to coerce. The body of the challenge, I don't really see a body of the challenge, but I mean, if you come up with something, there could be like, I don't know, maybe you beat her down or something. I don't know. The spirit of the challenge, though, sounds like it's probably an 8. Well, you might have advantages to, manipulating. It's hard because there's so many people on the cameras you don't have control of. So the tags here are that, 1, you two have no sound.
Okay.
On purpose. 2, they love Mercedes. So I'm just going to say, hero fandom. Yeah, that's a good one. And 3, I'm going to say the race must go on.
Okay.
Race go on. No sound. Fandom. We're going to give this 2 additional tags, making it a myth. We're not going to make it your dragon myth, which would then give you, it would also make it double rerolls, which would suck. We're just going to give it the extra tags like most other myths. So no sound, fandom, race must go on. The other drivers, I'm going to say other egos. And last but not least, I'm going to say the fans, right? There's well, no, that's too close to fandom. We'll probably just say it's the security, the police, right? Because the sirens are going off. All right. So we have a whole bunch of tags. We have a mind and a spirit. Who would go first? So you have your moment of clarity, Grandin. Guido, what would you like to do? Oh, no, Grandin was trying to get their attention with the letter. Okay, so what strategy would help you use the letter to try to manipulate them? Now, they can't hear you. That's going to be the first problem.
Yeah, so I think arguing is probably the best bet here.
Sure. It's imagined because they can't hear you.
Yeah. So Grandin's making grand gestures, pointing as much as he can, but mostly at this point he is talking directly to Mercedes. Two failures.
Okay.
So I'll use obsessed to reroll 1.
Okay. How are you obsessed?
At this point, I'm obsessed about getting the gear back.
Yes.
Obsessed about proving my friendship to Guido. Obsessed with getting Mercedes off my mind. Like, there's just so many obsessions going on that are driving my motivations here.
Grandin Gregson.
And it's not enough to make me succeed.
Okay.
but we'll use friendship because he wants to prove himself to Guido that he can be a person and not just a tool. No.
Okay.
The dice are not with me.
What a rough night with the dice.
What does your character do? Now, obviously, they can't hear you, so that's largely the problem here. Is that you're talking, you're pointing at the letter, but the cameras aren't paying enough attention to you because they can't hear you and they can hear her. So they're just siding with the crowd. So mostly they see her, and then they cut over to you, and everyone boos, and you can hear the sirens coming. You were trying to manipulate, so you're going to take 2 points to your spirit. Before you do that, or I mean, go ahead and do it anyway. But what was your mind and your body at?
Mine's at 3, body's at 3, spirit was at 3.
Okay, what's your cap on mind and body?
3 and 5.
Okay, so your body, let's go ahead and put that at 4. Okay, and then Kevin, your body was at 2, right?
It's down to 1.
Okay, let's put it at 3.
Okay.
You obviously had time to change clothes, drive over here. You had the equivalent of a short rest. All right. So, Guido, you see Grandin standing before her, kind of at the bottom, looking up towards her airship, which is not super tall. I mean, it's just like, it's hovering above the ground. And, so she's probably like, 5 feet up on him. Think of like the bottom of a boat that's slightly hovering, so she's got a good amount of pedestal above him. And you can kind of see from your angle, like the big screens and how they're framing it, and they can't hear him. And she's talking to him like, "Oh, what was that, creeper? You want an autograph?" And she's just teasing him and making him look bad as the sirens are getting closer and closer. What do you want to do?
Okay. So obviously this tact isn't working. So what I would like to do is I was bringing all this attention to me to this thing, and I'd like to withdraw from that and actually try to kind of hide and remove myself to it. What I want to do is I want to go over and talk to one of the other drivers, specifically Von Wander.
Sure, he's the one that's closest to you anyway.
Yeah, so I want to get over to him. I want to try to convince him that Mercedes is cheating in this race.
You did see that she teased the basically the golden gear. That could be a clue for you to use. That there was something about that she planned to use, just like your friend had always been talking about the use of it for an airship. So, would you said something about hiding to get to him? Did you want to try to be out of sight and get to him, or did you just want to try to start convincing him?
I think first I need to kind of hide. I need to remove myself from the situation that we're losing. You know what I mean? So I need to not be part of that.
You need to be off the cameras, for example. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's
imagine hiding.
I imagine hiding, yeah. Especially because you don't know where all the cameras are. There's a lot to take in.
2 successes.
Yeah, it's probably pretty hard too, because you have 10,000 people watching you. So I mean, they can't see you. You're like a speck, except for the big screens. Okay. Fandom, no sound, good with other egos. All right. So I don't see any problem with you hiding. But if you're trying to hide to get to Von Wander, sorry, Von Wander. Damn it. You would have to get past him without him noticing, because he doesn't want to be near you, because you are at the center of all the problems right now. So go and re-roll your successes and see if they hold.
Sure. Now I'm down to 1 success.
Okay. Tags.
So I'd like to use my In the Shadows tag.
In the Shadows.
And I'm back to 2 successes.
All right. You never saw you coming. Okay. So that's 2. I assume that's against the mind, right?
Or this. Well, Yeah, your call.
Because you're not convincing him yet. You're just trying to sneak past the crowd so that you can talk to him.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, you did do 2. You want to get rid of a tag or you want to change something?
I want to get rid of the. I'd like to get rid of the no sound tag.
You got it.
So maybe the press has now come up and started miking this.
Sure. I like that too. Yeah. There's some kind of person, basically there's people coming up with booms because this is starting to probably get put on the news or starting to get broadcast or starting to be made more of a spectacle. Like, you're missing out. If you didn't stay the whole day at the, the preliminaries, you never would have known about the fiasco that happened at the end of the day. And obviously, since the Mentara Spectacular is broadcasting all over the world, it's a huge thing, and this will be all over the place later on. ESPN and CBS. Okay. You get closer to him. He tries to shirk away from you, not knowing where you went, but has no idea that you've basically come right up next to him, behind him, around him, wherever you want to be. Meanwhile, Grandin, what do you want to do? You're standing. You're being drowned out right now. She does have a megaphone, though she's a little bit higher than you. You do notice that some people are coming up, and they seem to have, basically those long sticks with the booms at the top of them.
So Grandin's still like staring her down.
Yeah.
Eyes. Pointing at the letter. Shouting. And it's all come to him. He says, I've wasted my life looking up to you, wanting to know you. You don't care about me. You don't care about your fans. You just want to win. You do it at my expense, at our expense. You stole my gear. You threatened my friend's woman. Now here you are, humiliating me. You're rotten. You hear that, everyone? You're rotten. And he's just like having an emotional breakdown at this point.
Sure. Sounds like Imagine arguing.
Yep.
Okay.
That is 1 success. However, I'm going to use the tide and change it to a critical.
Okay. Okay, with a critical success, you were trying to manipulate who?
At this point, he knew that he had a voice outside of just Mercedes, and he's trying to turn the tide of the crowd.
Okay.
He's trying to get, everyone else to hear what a terrible person Mercedes is.
You've taken 4 points off spirit, which leaves it at 4, because critical does double damage. So would you like to get rid of fandom, race, or the race? Sorry, fandom, race must go on, other egos, or the police?
I think fandom goes well with this.
All right. Now, obviously, with a critical success, we always ask the question of what's the best possible thing that could happen here. So, Kevin, what do you think the best possible thing that could happen for Grandin is, as he is kind of coming to his senses, realizing that his past was flawed and that he looked up to a person he probably had who would never, ever respect him, let alone look back at him, and maybe is kind of getting the crowd to understand that as well.
I think the best case scenario is like a member of the press really listens to what he's saying and gets her cameraman to zoom in on the letter and start reporting. This man is obviously accusing Mercedes Rogers of some impropriety that seemingly has some evidence. This seems to be the evidence he's presenting, and maybe and that's being put into the stadium as well, not just over.
Okay. Grandin, what do you think is the best thing that could happen here? You mentioned the crowd.
Yeah, so similar to what Kevin said, that one of the news reports, one of the boom poles gets put just far enough in picking up Grandin's voice, and the sound guys at the stadium or at the track flip to that channel, and it gets broadcast over, so everyone's hearing it, and the big screen has a close up of the letter, and maybe even like a close up of Grandin's grimy face with like tears welling up in his eyes.
Okay. So basically out of character, right? On the sidelines, I do really enjoy that. Yeah, there was a couple reporters, basically like Channel 9 News is starting to focus on basically Grandin's appeal. One of the guys, just random reporter, basically with TV crew is like, no, not on her. Focus the camera on him. Everyone else is looking at her. The story is that guy. Who is the white-faced guy? Who is the orange-hand, white-faced hobo? Who is? That's right. Write this down. Who is the hobo? And they are starting to film you. And one of the boom mics is being moved in your direction. As the crowd's cheers and roars are starting to be more fragmented. Guido, you were next to Von Wander, and how did you hide next to him? I mean, did you like go under the vehicles, or did you come up in his vehicle? Like, how did you?
Yeah, I as this whole commotion is going on, I kind of went around his vehicle, and then I climbed up to kind of be in the cockpit or whatever it is, like right next to him.
Okay. Right next to him. That's awesome. Yeah. I was kind of wondering if it was like a sneaky thing, so sneaky. He's shocked for a moment as he sees you. What? Who are you? Oh, you're the crazy guy who was in the vehicle.
Not so crazy. Not so crazy. As a matter of fact, I need your help.
What could you possibly want from me? Why would I help you? Do you know who I am?
I do know who you are. I'm a big fan, actually. You're great. You're wonderful. You're like the best racer ever. Your skill is astonishing. I don't know how you make those left turns. It's absolutely amazing.
This actually sounds like a good thing. Is that can you win him over? Right?
Yeah.
You can probably get stuff out of him if you can win him over, and it sounds like you're paying him some fan treatment.
Exactly the point. And
what strategy would help you?
I'm gonna go with the ocarina. I'm not playing my ocarina, but I'm playing him. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, you're putting your fingers over the right keyholes and blowing. Okay, roll Imagine Ocarina. Yeah.
That is one success.
Okay. With that, you were dealing with his ego, so that's not a problem. Though the race must go on, and you hear the dividers, those things that kind of jet up and broke your ship up. You hear them recede, and there's a slow cacophony of sounds as engines begin revving towards the back, and some lights light up, and a woman is walking in this way with a flag, a checkered flag. And there's a couple of men who are moving up in the sort of catwalk to the side. And you're just starting to realize some of the machinations of this situation, that like they're really just going to start continuing with the process, even though this crazy stuff's happening right now. They're just going to go in the background, which is distracting Vaughn. So go ahead and reroll your success.
Okay. Oh, which is now a failure.
Okay.
So I'd like to use a couple tags. I'll use Tricky Dick.
Yes.
And
I'll
also
use Tricky Dick.
Actually, in the shadows, I would like to use. I'm still trying to be sort of underhanded in the shadows, playing off the I just appeared out of nowhere kind of thing, like Faustian in a way.
How would it help you?
because he's just so surprised by this
Sure.
whole situation, and
Yeah.
I'm just it is out of nowhere in the shadows. Kind of.
It's hard to be distracted if you're surprised, yeah, by something else. Yeah, exactly.
And I rolled double ones.
Ooh, that's about as good as you can get. Okay,
I'm
so
rolling a ton of doubles tonight.
There really have been
It's really bad.
an inordinate amount.
Yeah.
They make Dream Chaser life grand though. Okay, so you were trying to do what? You're trying to win him over. So that's manipulation. That would be 4 points because you had a double, which would be enough to get through the challenge here. So why don't you start taking us through how this is ultimately going to lead us to getting what you want from Mercedes?
Okay, so you know, I finally he's on my side. He feels like I'm a fan of Von Wander. The only reason why you're not winning this race, the only reason why you're not in pole position right now, is because Mercedes is cheating. We have the
What?
She's using an illegal gear, not to specs of this wondrous race.
So there's a moment there where I was like, is he one of those guys who's like, don't talk to me about, details and technical data? Ricky Bobby drives, That's he is Von Wander, so he actually is skillful all around. He's like the Dale Earnhardt Jr. He knows what he's doing. So he looks to you. What? She's an illegal gear?
We have the proof. If you check her airship, you'll find the illegal gear. And we have in her writing that she has this gear, is using it, and has also kidnapped my girlfriend. I need your help. If you could just bring people's attention to this letter that we brought. We wouldn't have crazily jumped our airship over here if it wasn't a dire situation. And being your biggest fan, you were the only one I knew to turn to.
He basically like half sits in. He like kind of like sits on the middle console of his vehicle because you basically were just like standing there next to it. And he kind of like without expertly getting in the seat and driving it, he easily maneuvers it like by half bending down and kind of kicks it so that it kind of like is sideways in front of the other vehicles. You hear a lot more revving towards the back, and some of them are starting to like make movement towards the front. The siren vehicles are starting to pull up on the runway closer towards you, but they're slowing down as all the machinations of the race are beginning to like go into motion, and they're like, well, we don't want to be in front of all the race cars just shooting out. So they're kind of slowing down as they're kind of awkwardly not knowing exactly what to do here because this is kind of unprecedented. Grandin, what are you doing? You're at the foot of her. The crowd is starting to sway. You don't quite know what's going on with Von Wander and Guido, but she's in front of you. She holds that gear kind of like towards you, like this time just flippantly kind of holding it in her hand and beckoning you with it. What makes you think that you're better than any one of them? That you deserve my attention? I spent my whole life becoming Mercedes Rogers. Who are you?
You spent
what have you
your
done?
whole life becoming a sham. I know I'm worthless. You're living a lie.
She is just she's what? You dare call me a sham? She throws the gear at you in her fit of rage.
Hold Betsy up and like try and like horseshoe it or ring toss it.
You ring toss it, great. Go ahead and roll Imagine Hammering.
That is 2 successes.
Okay. You want to tell me how you catch it?
So the gear's in the air. I flip Betsy over, grab it by the wrong end, and thrust her in the air and just pick the gear right out of the air, twirls down and comes to rest.
So Vaughn has kind of blocked the thing. He looks over to you, Guido. So what do you have on her? What could you? Why does she want you so badly?
Well, I humiliated her friends. And I stole a bit of gold from her. And was kind of mean to her. And had my guy beat her in a dance contest. And made her look bad. And yeah, there's kind of a few different things.
So meanwhile, elsewhere, there is basically on the other end of like one of the sort of like the egg shape of the raceway. On the far end, there's a lot of things that have kind of been going on in the background. And you see a bunch of sort of like stage lights begin to throw spotlights over on the far end. And you hear someone say something, but the two of you can't really make it out. But the people in the audience can hear that someone is talking to a microphone saying, "Mic check." Meanwhile, Guido, you're explaining to Vaughn. Vaughn is looking to you. Well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If she's cheating, we could get her disqualified. We could get her out of this race. She spent her whole life for this.
Let's do it.
She can come back next year. And he basically reaches in, grabs a manual, which is very unintimidating, and holds it up. See, he opens it up. Somewhere in here, there is a bylaw against this, and illegal tampering of vehicles. There's a lot of details here, and he starts flipping through them, and you realize in some ways he's helped as much as he kind of can, as he's blocked some of the roadway, but some of the previous vehicles towards the back are starting to kind of drive forward, kind of around the two of you. Grandin, what do you want to
do? With the gear,
she is just obsessed, pissed right now, mad, staring at you. If she had a club, you think she would swing it at you.
So
sorry, guys, I stepped away for a second. Just
sure.
The biggest slight that Grandin can think is to take the gear, thrust it in the air, and turn his back on Mercedes. And ignore her.
Okay.
And say, this is their proof that she's a sham. Addressing the crowd and the news reporters.
So, what happens is that the lights on the far end of the stage start kind of flickering around, and some of the overhead lights that are over the stadium as the night is starting to kind of descend upon the stadium. There's still sun, but it's starting to set. It's getting closer to that. So some of the night lights had kicked on prematurely, but they're starting to go out with those loud sort of like off switches of the clunking out. And on the far side of the stage, you can see a bunch of people coming out and some music that is starting to be played. And as if you could see him, but you can't. An entertainer walking out amongst the other entertainers, kind of with a large thumbs up in the air pointed in your direction, as if he's trying to do something to help give you that distraction or sway away the attention. And the only way he knows how to. Of course,
jumping and kicking.
Of course, from Archie Less, far, far away. You find, obviously, this is drawing a lot of attention as, prematurely there's some entertainment that's being kicked on, music that's starting to be played. People are kind of divided in their attention. Mercedes, you're kind of brought back to as Mercedes kind of like growls and yells in outrage. "You will not make me meaningless again," as she is at one point staring at your back, and another point, the fans and everyone else is paying attention to Archie again in her moment of triumph as the other vehicles are racing around you. And she removed the gear from her airship that she threw at you so that she can't move out of place, staring basically at Guido and Von Wallander, who are blocking her escape even if she had the gear. She reaches below into the dash, basically hits a glove box, and pulls out some kind of archaic pistol. And is like slowly, maniacally pointing it at Grandin. And Grandin is standing steadfast, not looking at her at all, holding up his proof and screaming his honest truths that don't include Mercedes. Guido, you see this unfold. What you missed for a moment when you stepped away is that Archie kind of and crew are like sort of throwing together a quick act to draw some attention away as they were trying to provide you a little cover. And while you can't see Archie from where you are, he tried to give you the thumbs up basically as they were taking stage. And some of that music is starting to play, and there's the colored lights that are starting to show over on the far end. And it is distracting some of the attention. Awesome. You find yourself between Von Wander, flipping through pages in a book, Grandin, who's grandstanding and talking to cameras and the news that he cannot hear, and the crowds that he can only kind of see, while Mercedes is so finally sick of the both of you and of everything and how deeply you've hurt her in every way possible. She has pulled out a gun and is pointing it at his back and has that sort of scary look in her eyes.
All right, so I will. We're kind of sideways to her, right?
You're actually kind of more almost directly in front of her, just probably like 20 feet forward, because Von's car was the next position up. He kind of pulled a little more distance, but then he pulled it back in to block her. So
let's see. So we're going to.
Now there are also a lot of vehicles with sirens that are kind of pulling up, but you're kind of being you have that sort of thing where you're like in a pond and all the fish are going around you as the other vehicles are like slowly kind of moving around your two vehicles.
He wouldn't hear me if I yelled. You know what? If I don't have. Well, no, I do. I always have a bottle. I always have a bottle. I'm going to take my bottle, give it a kiss, because I'm going to miss it, and throw it at her as hard as I can.
Okay. What strategy would that be?
It's sleight of hand, because where have I been hiding this bottle this whole time?
I got a magic trick for you. It's like a disappearing, reappearing bottle.
Want to see me pull a rabbit out of my hat?
Yeah.
That would be one success.
Okay. You are overconfident, so I would ask you to re-roll your success as this moment happens where you can see your friend and you have pulled the bottle out of your pants so many times. But as you do, this one time when the pressure is on you, it slips further past your hand. Can you catch it and still throw it in time?
It's still a success.
Okay.
And I have a tag for the other one I'd like to use, which is alcoholic.
How does that help you?
I'm used to flinging bottles around.
Go for it.
Which is it's a perfect success.
Tell me what happens.
So I take that bottle, give it a kiss. I'm gonna miss you, and I throw it as hard as I can. And it's almost as if like I can turn throwing a bottle into a sport, because it doesn't go end over end. It goes sideways, and I throw it kind of like a frisbee. So it goes way out. It goes way back in. And she's there with the gun. It goes, dink. Hits her in the head. She falls. The bottle falls to the ground and does not shatter.
Grandin, you hear a loud, sort of old school, like blunderbuss sort of sound behind you. And it's just, and it's like deafening. And one of your ears, you can hear practically nothing right now. And it came from behind you. You just hear this loud thundering boom that deafens you, and you hear the ringing in your ears, and there's actually like some dust that blows up, and on the basically you hear the whole crowd basically roar with like gasps and shouts and sounds, and then you see a bottle hit the ground and doesn't break, which is just thunk, but you don't hear it, and then it just kind of rolls, and then you can tell that the vehicle, as you're kind of like your gaze is like lifting up and back and around you, you can see the vehicle next to you has a little bit of a shift, as in like, something like bumped it. And when you turn around, you see that Mercedes has been knocked over, and she is half laying basically around half of a bend of the vehicle itself. Just like half over, like if you had a passenger door, for example, in your head. And her hair is just hung over her face as she's just kind of halved over on it. And you turn completely to see Guido, who, is in that sort of like throwing motion as he kind of reels his hand back. And Von Wander, who just looked. And all of the cameras begin sort of showing an instant replay of the bottle and hitting Mercedes, and how it went like sideways from all these different perspectives and angles. And the crowd is going, basically, ooh, ah. And that's all kind of coming back to, as your sense, your hearing's coming back. It's still dull, but Grandin, what do you do?
At this point, Grandin wants to get up real close to Mercedes, lift her head up, whisper in her ear, "I'm done with you. Where's the girl?"
And for Guido, you see at this point that you never noticed that basically the trunk had opened on the vehicle, because it didn't really matter. But you see Elle kind of walking along the side of the backside of the vehicle, and she just kind of like, like someone who's like, sort of like tiptoeing as she kind of sneaks around the side. But you can tell that you just caught her at that moment where she's like that astonishment. She just saw everything you did, is that basically you whipped that bottle and it knocked Mercedes, and she's too low to realize like if everything's okay. But she's looking at you, and she's kind of got her hand over her mouth.
And I jump down off the airship and just run to her.
So basically, from Van Wander's viewpoint, he has his book shut. He sees her half bent over, the creepy stalker guy whispering in her ear. You rushing over. What do you do when you reach her?
I grab her. I give her one of those old timey dippy kisses,
Yeah.
And long, passionate kiss. And as soon as I'm done, I say, "Marry me."
From his vantage point, he takes off the little camera that he's wearing on his shirt and puts it on the dash, and says something like, brought to you by GoPro. And yeah, and then basically you say that to her as she swoons in your arms and whispers, "Okay."
Okay.
And Grandin, you say that, and you just hear her say something like, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you."
I hate you too.
All right. So what happens to Guido from this point, as the music's in the background and the crowd is kind of going nuts, and there will be all kinds of news of all different kinds of angles, different cameras, different feeds that will happen from this. What happens to Guido?
I grab Elle's hand and I run up to Grandin on the airship and climb up onto Mercedes' airship.
Yeah.
And I say, "Grandin, do you still have the gear?"
You know I do, buddy.
So I take Mercedes and just toss her over the top.
She's kind of getting up groggily, and she's like, "What are you doing? Why would you?" And you just throw her out. She hits the ground. How dare you throw me out of my own... And other vehicles just start driving by and then kicking dirt all over.
I said, Brandon, you have the driver's seat. We have a whole world to explore.
Grandin takes the gear, gives it one little kiss, and plops it right in place into the engine of the airship. Hops
Why
in
did you tell me
the
about
driver's
how this
seat.
was the perfect gear for that?
The engine bay is already all gold, and there's a gap right in the middle where presumably there was another gear. The gear that's held in Grandin's hand it's a handheld gear. As he places it in there, it expands and fills the space almost perfectly. And there's a satisfying clunk as teeth fit into teeth, and as the ignition is pulled, there's just a satisfying roar of an engine. Purrs.
All of the vehicles have gone past you and gone onto the track, except for Von Wanders, who he is now basically starting to sit back in his seat and begins to wave at you. You stick the gear in place. There is a shimmering of light as you close basically the engine hatch where the glitter gold has been formed into place. I imagined for Grandin, this would be your dream in that way, that you're like, wow, I get to drive the 450? This is pretty badass.
It is the defining moment.
I turn to Grandin and I say, it seems I'm in need of a best man. Think you could fit the bill?
Well, I think you should ask Archie first. But if he's too busy being a famous dancer, I'm there.
We'll plan on being at least an usher.
I imagine the vehicle kind of kicks it in turn and just drives out the bay where everyone had left from. And we kind of cut back over to Archie and basically 20 other dancers who were up there with them as they're all like, kick, kick, jump, kick, jump, kick, jump. And then basically as you guys are leaving, like the big screen would show him just spinning up into the air.
In front of the moon, like the moon silhouette in front of the moon.
Well, thank you very much for playing. I'm very glad that we were able to see it through to the end. Is there any epilogue that you either one of you would like to add? It sounds like there's a wedding and a person with the perfect airship.
Yes. It turns out the girl that was impressed was Elle all along.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure somewhere Mercedes was impressed too at how low you could go to screw her over. She's in a cell somewhere being like, why? Why did they do this to me? It's all about her.
Elle, yeah, right. I'd say Elle and Guido, maybe.
There's probably a montage of, Grandin taking a shower.
Yeah.
And then
taking another shower.
And then searching his room for any remaining letters and burning them.
Yeah.
And then driving off into a sunset. And then acting as the best man.
And then words superimposed before the final credits. Elle and Guido may not necessarily have lived happily ever after, but they lived together drunkily ever after.
Okay, both of you, please think of your favorite moment that the other person gave to you. Usually it would be this session, but I mean, of course, if you haven't said it before and something glaringly stares back at you from the other sessions, you could use that too.
I think for this one, for Grandin, it was the saving of Guido with Betsy. Both becoming, actually having a friend, throwing this hammer that never leaves his side, and then having it perfectly end up in like this weird somersault. Betsy lands in his hand, like saving the moment. That was perfect.
Yeah, and strangely enough, I think my moment also had to do with the throwing of a bottle.
You set a precedent.
And just
Yeah.
the kind of the almost juxtaposition of how Betsy went end over end vertically while the bottle went horizontally end over end. And just like how those two scenes kind of mirrored each other, but also were a little bit different. It was really cool. It was
It was a story of friendship and of stealing an airship.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. This has been To Steal an Airship.